have who lost his blade. Mine say, thy name shall forever be scorned. A gothic jest in the graveyard adorned. From a mile away we'll laugh and we'll cry for the tragedy known as poor mind's
Time to play the game. Imagine a hero shooter where the hero never showed.
That's most definitely what's up.
Imagine a game with a player base that just refused to grow.
16 times the detail.
A 5v5 hero shooter with gameplay that's just okay.
We're aiming for a controversial 7 out of 10.
And characters that remind me of Tupperware and white bread.
Shout out to the chess
No,
player.
I'm not talking about Overwatch. Please stop bringing up Overwatch. This game is not Overwatch. It's actually something else.
I'm vibing!
Imagine a game with a story that no one watches. A game that costs $40 that Sony totally botches. It has all my favorite characters, like Lemmy, Dawn, and Craig. At least, I think that's what their names are. I never bothered to check. Concord like the grave. Your legacy is safe as a game that no one played, and a price that no one paid. Boop-a-doop-ba, deep-a-doop-da, scoop-a-boop-ba, beep-beep-beep-beep-beep, phlegm. Concord was about as good as accidentally peeing on your own leg. Concord, we're here to lay you to rest. We know you tried your best. You copied so much cool stuff just to turn out lame in the end. I'll never forget my favorite moments, like when Hot Sauce Guy jumped. Remember when he jumped? That was really cool. A rat just ran by on my desk, and even the rat didn't want to play Concord, even though I blessed him with the chance. The $40 he could afford, but the rat just stared on in a trance. Rat, 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 rat. Concord's dead. Rat, 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 rat. Concord's dead. The Costco guys made more money than you. They were just on Jimmy Fallon too. Imagine Lennox being on Jimmy Fallon, because I literally can't. The rat on my desk is eating all my Cheerios and grapes, and also Concord is dead. Concord like the grave. Your legacy is safe as a game that no one played, and a price that no one paid. Rat-a-ta-ta-beep-a-da, boom. Skim, milk, rat freak, doo-da, doo-da. A guy said he really liked it, and then a bunch of rats ate his face. That's the sound he made when Concord passed away. I wish things turned out different, but either way I'm getting paid. Concord's dead, Concord's dead, and boy is my face red. When the game came out everybody overslept. Concord's dead, Concord's dead. Holy crap, Lois, Concord's dead. When the game out people played everything else instead.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. But you know what? It's okay, because Concord will live forever in our hearts and minds. I mean, how often does the game launch and is a commercial flop, but then you still have people talking about it a year later? That's right. We've passed the 1 year anniversary already. It's been a year. It's been a year. What was the actual like specific day that it shut down? Because should we hold like a funeral? No. Okay, so it's been a year since the demos and everything dropped and the previews and everything like that, but the game was shut down on September 6th officially. That's when it shut down. Okay. So maybe September 6th we need to hold like a funeral. Maybe we need to get a funeral cake. We'll go to a restaurant, get a cake, light it for some reason while talking about Concord's dad. That would be good. That'd be funny. Oh, that would be good. We should do that. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. That's funny. Did I give my ID to YouTube? No. I saw a couple of people mentioning ID with YouTube stuff. Is it because the age verification thing kicked in? My understanding, and it's probably different per country, but at least where I'm at, I believe they only require your ID if your viewing behaviors, like they flag as being that of somebody that could be younger, I think. For me, I mean, I haven't had any problems. It's probably in the UK they make you do like specific ID stuff because y'all, I don't know what you're doing over there. I'm sorry. You know, after the whole revolution thing that happened a couple hundred years ago, you know, I hate to say I told you so, but I mean, kind of says itself, you know. I was born in 1901. Dude, I think a lot of people were. Yeah, January 1st, 1901, whatever the default is. Yeah. I'm in the UK. I haven't had to verify my age on YouTube yet. Oh, interesting. God save the king. Yeah, dude, he's all bloated. Looks like he's about to pop. Have you ever seen Box Trolls? That movie? It's a good movie. Ben Kingsley is in it. But specifically the one guy is allergic to cheese, the bad guy. And so when he finally eats the cheese, he balloons up like your king. Maybe he's also just allergic to cheese. How precarious, how peculiar. You might have heard me quote Box Trolls frequently because I do quote it a lot. How precarious, how peculiar. There are box trolls walking about. It's a whole thing. It's very good. It's very good. Concord candle. We can get a Concord candle officially on the anniversary of its demise. We could do that. I love Ben Kingsley. Yeah, dude, I do too. UK, more like, are you okay? We're like, you okay? Yeah, dudes, I don't know. I feel bad for all of you. I maybe it's just the bubble we're in. I have not yet on stream come across a single person who's like, I don't know, I'm a big fan of everything that's happening. Like everybody that's in chat from the UK is like, I don't know what we're doing, man. I don't know. Maybe it's because we're going to make fun of you if you do like it. That could be part of it. Speaking of being part of it, I don't know what I was expecting, but as you know, on Monday, we announced the giveaway for the PS5 Pro. And I don't know what I was expecting, but I mean, what? 38,000 entries. Now, granted, if you're subbed to each channel, you get an additional ticket here, ticket there, a few tickets here, a few tickets there. But still, dude, 38,000? Like, what? What is happening? I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't know what's happening. But I'm here for it. We'll do the giveaway. We'll announce it. But I do think that this shows there's interest in the giveaways. So we got to do more of them, right? Yeah. And that's Americans only. Yeah, that's just US only. Imagine how many we'd have if it was totally open internationally. Like, it would be crazy. Absolutely crazy. But I do really want to find a way to get the international giveaway going. The biggest, trickiest thing is just getting you, like, say you live in Brazil, getting you a console that you can use is shockingly more difficult. It's not that big of a deal, honestly. Like, if it's an extra $200, $300, whatever, like, it's a giveaway, I'll eat the cost. But they make it shockingly difficult to send and gift devices like that internationally for some reason. Like, you'd think I could just go on and be like, hey, I'd like to log into whatever store local to that country, buy it, and then you just go pick it up. But it's way more complicated than that. It's stupid. Yeah. Just an indication of how broke everyone really is. Well, when it's a big enough prize, I think people get excited, which is good. That was kind of the idea, because I could do like 10 $70 PlayStation Store gift cards or something, you know, and that's fine. People will be excited, like, ooh, I can get a free game, but that's not as exciting as potentially getting a PS5 Pro, you know? That's when it's like, ooh. It's very exciting. Also very exciting, we are about to fix the food industry, ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready? Did you see the news? We're about to fix it. The Queen herself is getting involved. She's had enough. She's stepping up to the plate. Sarah Bond, the president of Xbox, is now joining the Tyson Foods board of directors. And she's going to get those chickens whipped into shape. Just figuring it out. Now, you might be wondering, why is Sarah Bond, the president of Xbox, now on the board of directors for a food company? That's a fantastic question. Which lots of other people also were wondering. So the board of directors for Tyson Foods, they did respond to this, okay? They issued a statement out of Springdale, Arkansas, where they said, you know, as president of Xbox, Bond leads the organization, driving Xbox's innovation and growth across hardware, software, and services. Okay. But what they specifically said, this is important, Sarah is dynamic and passionate about chicken, with proven management strength, and her energy and personality are a wonderful fit for our culture. For chicken. As our management team, members of the board, and Tyson family got to know Sarah, we immediately felt that she would be a tremendous addition to Tyson Foods. We are, hopefully the management of Tyson Foods, not, anyway. We are confident that her unique expertise in gaming, will continue to grow and serve our customers, team members, and shareholders. Tyson Foods is a world-class food company. Who knows? Okay. I don't know, guys. Like, I don't know. The thing with all of these companies is it is a very incestuous pool. Like, you serve over at this company, you're an executive on this company, and then you bounce around. Like, do you remember the guy that basically blew up Xbox in the Xbox One era? What was his name? Start with like an M, maybe? Do you remember who I'm talking about? The guy, Don Matrick. Yes, Don Matrick. Thank you. Don Matrick is a prime example of this. Like, he failed upwards cataclysmically, okay? Like, it was amazing. But he basically destroyed Xbox by turning the gaming console into a cable box, and then sales were plummeting and all of this. It was going terribly. And so he announced that he was leaving Xbox. You know where he went after he destroyed Xbox? He casually went over and became CEO of Zynga. Which, if you don't know Zynga, I mean, at this point, they are gigantic. You know, they're freaking huge. Now actually owned by Take-Two Interactive. But yeah, according to Take-Two, roughly 10% of the world's population plays one of Zynga's games every month. Jesus. But yeah, he destroyed Xbox and then just casually popped over and you know, was totally fine. It's really is baffling. Never heard of one of their games. They did all of these, like Farmville, Cafe World. If you're talking about a game that's on like Facebook or that's on like built into a browser or any of these, like these games that were huge back in the day on Facebook. They might still be on Facebook for all I know. I remember Cafe World. I remember that. But yeah, it's ridiculous.
Kane donated $10 through Super Chat. Luke, that VGA clip in your video better not be Fallout.
Oh, yeah.
I swear to God. Had me LMAO at work. Thanks for that. I'd never seen that before. Praise be. May Todd be with you 16 times today.
Yes, may Todd slather his detail upon you and give you peace in this age of darkness. I appreciate the $10 super chat. Very generous. And yes, it is very funny. Better not be Fallout. I swear to God. I would love to know who said that. Like, I gotta buy him a beer or something, because it was probably a press person. Like, they don't, to be that close to stage, to be heard on Jeff's microphone on stage, it must have been, I mean, maybe they had audience mics, but I'd be surprised about that, you know, being that tuned in. But I think it was somebody sitting pretty close to the stage. And if that's the case, it's somebody like pretty high up within a company or a journalism outlet or something. I would love to know who said that. It was Cliffy B. He's one of the guys that totally would get away with saying that. Yeah, he totally could. Raymond, thank you for the membership, by the way. Thank you. I could see that because he's freaking loaded. You know, Cliffy B, he made the Gears of War games, of course, and that helped him find some success early on. But he made millions upon millions upon millions of dollars because he invested in Oculus very, very early, before it was bought by Facebook. And so when they sold to Facebook, or Meta now, for $1 billion, $2 billion or something, he walked out with millions and millions and millions of dollars. So he played that well. Speaking of, if anybody has any investment opportunities you'd like to reach out to me about, please let me know. Please let me know. I'd love to get on that. But yeah, takeaway is Sarah Bond is now joining Tyson Foods as a member of the board of directors. Who freaking knows why? I don't understand it, but this is just how they do. Maybe she's honestly just a big fan of Jimmy Dean breakfast sandwiches. But typically, it literally is something as simple. I remember reading a book in college. I don't remember. I think it was going through like the discussion of Warren Buffett's companies or something about. Forgive me, I don't remember the specific book, but I remember reading a book in college and they were talking about how some of these deals are made, and of course, a lot of them are done on the golf course. It's like, hey, you know, while we're going down the fourth hole, maybe you know, you could invest in our company, or maybe you could buy us out. Your company buys us out or something. It's like, well, I could put in a good word for you, but I mean, I need a little something, you know, I can't just do that for nothing. Hey, what if I talk to them about getting you put on the board of directors? Oh, okay. Yeah, we could do that. Okay. Yeah, that'd be cool. And you know, that's how it happens. It's all like backroom deals or back golf course deals. It's how the game is played, man. It's how the game is played. As I've said, Sarah Bond is one of the most enigmatic characters in the games industry right now. I think the odds are very, very high that she replaces Phil Spencer when he's out. I don't think Matt Booty gets put in place. I think it's probably Sarah Bond. And Sarah Bond, I've seen her at various events. She's always like commands the room and you know, despite being, it's always funny because everybody on the Xbox team is way shorter than you think they're gonna be. Phil Spencer is like 5'5", 5'6". He's just a little dude. And Sarah Bond is also tiny. Like they always on video look way bigger than they are in person. It's just very funny. Except JV the YouTuber is much taller than you would think. He's like 7 feet tall. But this is what's interesting. It's like her career, okay? Commencing her career as an associate partner at McKinsey & Company, transitioning to T-Mobile, she held key roles, including chief of staff to CEO John Legere, or Legere, I don't remember how to pronounce his name. But he was one of the guys behind trying to turn around T-Mobile. And then later senior vice president of corporate strategy and development there. Okay. And then in 2017, joined Microsoft, starting as corporate vice president overseeing gaming business and development partnerships, and then became corporate vice president of game creator experience and ecosystem. And then specifically, she was in charge of trying to get the Activision Blizzard acquisition to go through. She even testified in court over it. And then she, in 2022, received the Visionary Award from GamesBeat. And then in October of 23, was promoted to president of Xbox. Like, she has just climbed the ladder faster than like anybody else I know. It's wild.
Obey No Law donated $10 through Super Chat. Luke, please come to the rescue. We need to find your Discord. We have searched far and wide, low and high. It's not on the tree of links. Only you can find this trinket and bring everyone into the fold.
Indeed. It's pretty straightforward. All you do is on Discord, you know, even though you're not currently in it yet, you go onto the Discord, you press the gear button, and then there's a connections tab. You press the connections tab, connect your account where you're a member or Twitch sub to Discord, and then within like a day, you should automatically receive the invite to the server. If you don't receive that invite to the server after a day, send me an email, luke@28thAv.com with Discord problems in the subject line, and then I can try to brute force it. But you have to send me a screenshot proving you're a member and a screenshot of the connections tab. Because if Discord is breaking, I need to be able to show that Discord's breaking. So if you have problems, just go and tell me. Okay. Send me that. God, that's Discord looks convoluted. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Ross, thank you for the 10. Luke, how do I fail upwards and get in on these CEO grifts? I want to run Tyson Chicken too. I need corporate business guidance. Well, here's the deal. Okay. So Sarah went to Yale and then to Harvard. That alone is doing like 95% of the heavy lifting, okay? Because just to get into those schools, you probably need a family member as like a legacy entrant to get in. You need connections. Once you're there, it is all about networking. So you're meeting the sons and daughters of executives from around the world. So, you know, oh, I was in the debate club with Timmy. And Timmy, his dad is literally on the board of directors of Microsoft and can get me a job there. So like it literally is 90% connections. That's a major component of it. Okay. Not to say she isn't qualified or capable. I'm just saying going to Yale and then casually dropping over to Harvard for your MBA. Yeah, you're going to end up climbing the ladder pretty damn quickly. It's going to happen. So connections are a huge component of it. And it's kind of why she comes out of nowhere. She just all of a sudden starts out as an associate partner at McKinsey & Company. And McKinsey & Company, we've looked at this before on stream, is a multinational strategy and management consulting firm, professional services to corporations, governments, and other organizations. Literally what they do is you hire them to come in and fix your company. I actually have some family members that hired a company like this because their small business was having problems, and they hire these guys to come in and fix the company and be like, tell us what we're doing wrong. Why are we not making more money? What do we need to do to make more money? And they come in and they consult for a hefty fee. Hefty fee. But she started there and then started working at T-Mobile and then climbed the ladder there and then joined Microsoft and climbed the ladder a few times there. Say what you will, she knows how to climb the corporate ladder. She gets it. She's playing the game. She's good at it. Only being in your like mid to late 40s and already being poised to become the CEO of a giga company like Xbox, that's pretty impressive. It's crazy. And now she's like on all these boards. She's on the board of Zora. Okay. So they create software for subscription-based services. Chegg, she's on the board there. Of course, they do like a lot of college school textbook stuff, like learning assistants, things like that. And then the ESA, Entertainment Software Association, she's on the board of that, and now also on the board of Tyson Foods. So she's been climbing the board like crazy. So I'm not shocked that she's now on the board of Tyson. It's just funny that you have a Microsoft executive that now is on the board of a company that makes chicken. It's funny. It's funny. She said for life, for a few lifetimes. Yeah, but when you have this kind of hunger to climb the corporate ladder, you don't stop. I think she's going to keep trying to climb until she is like upper echelons of all of Microsoft. So I don't think she's going to stop here. And again, I think she is fighting viciously and ferociously and is probably pretty well primed to take over Phil's spot, possibly at the end of this generation. So get used to Sarah. Get used to Sarah. It's like I said, people thought that I was like putting her down when we talked about her last time. I'm like, no, I'm genuinely like amazed. My point is, you don't see this kind of thing often. Like if you found out that, oh, she actually has the power of hypnotism. That's how she's able to just so regularly get promoted and everything. But it's because she knows how to play the game. Like it sucks to say, but a lot of corporate life and business is sort of a game. It's about the tit for tat. It's about climbing the ladder. It's about loyalty. It's about backroom deals. It kind of is like a mafia family in a way where it's like, Phil asked you to do this. You need to get this deal with the FTC across the board. You do that, this family will owe you a great debt. It's one of those things. And then she delivers and he takes care of her. That's how this works. That's how this works. Jack, yeah, it's about family. It's about family, Sarah. Jack, thank you for the 10. Luke, haven't you heard Forspoken spiritual successor Echoes of the End just launched on all platforms? Dude, I was getting recommended like sponsored TikToks randomly for that game. I was like, what is it? Looks like a game I've seen 5 times before, but I hadn't seen it before. So I Googled it. Looks like it's probably fine. I don't know. I haven't tried it yet or anything, but I don't know. When people see a trailer of your game and they think, has this already come out? That's not great. That's not great. Jork, my Piantis, thank you for giving a community sub. Thank you. And also thank you, Jork, my Piantis, for another gifted sub. That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. They're at 52% positive on Steam. Oh, really? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's performance. The trailer I saw looked like it was the type of game to have performance issues. Maybe I'm off base on that and that's unfair, but that typically is like the first domino to fall, Ashen Ward, thank you for the 5. Just wrapped up a final interview for a new job. Hell yeah, congratulations. Would be huge for my family and fingers crossed. Also, thoughts on Hell Is Us. Hell Is Us seems really interesting. We tried the demo and I played it even more after we got off stream. It's very interesting because it's a game that is unapologetic in not holding your hand, and I respect the hell out of that. More games, I think, need to do that. Just not hold your hand. Because hand holding has gotten out of control. But I don't know how that translates. Like, it's one thing to play a demo where they don't hold your hand. It's another thing to try and play like a 20, 30, 40 hour game that doesn't hold your hand. That's a whole other problem. So I don't know. I don't know. Still can't find Discord invite. I'm a member and it's connected. Give it like a few hours. Sometimes like it's dependent on Discord updating, and then you should see the server literally just added in your sidebar of servers. It's just called, Luke Stevens Live or whatever. Give it a few hours. If it's still not there, send me that email and I can just brute force and manually get you a link to get you in there. Okay. I'll take care of you, boo. I will try to. I realized a bunch of the emails you guys sent, I had like 5 or 6 of you guys send emails about problems with the Discord thing. And Google or Gmail, like the app, automatically sorted them all into forum. Like, they put them into like updates, promotions, forums. It thought all of your requests about the Discord were for forums. I don't know. I don't understand it, but we'll get you in there. Don't worry. We'll get you in there. Let's see. Luke, I'm currently inside an armored personal carrier in a war zone. Please take me from here. I want to play Baldur's Gate 3. Jeez, should you be watching a stream right now? I'm glad you're here. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like, should we be focused on other things at the moment? That's crazy. Well, I'm glad you're here, my friend, and hopefully you can get out and play Baldur's Gate as soon as possible, because that's what we all need to do, frankly. Yeah, got his priorities straight. Hell yeah. I respect it. Raymond, again, thank you for the membership. Thank you again for that. Logan, thank you for the 2. Why did they announce Wolverine so early? Typically, if you see an announcement really, really, really early, there's usually a reason for it. It's either because they're trying to attract talent and get people to apply for jobs, specifically to work on that project, which is what you see a lot with like studios that are doing something different. But one of the other reasons is to like quell investor concerns or to gauge public interest. If you reveal a trailer, like for example with Fair Game $, you drop that, and if the reception is terrible, that's going to change how much you invest in the project. Whereas if it goes really, really well, you might invest more, So it can also be a really good way of gauging public interest and how much money you should put into something. Because if they revealed Wolverine and it just kind of like, blip, nobody really cared, they might be like, okay, let's give this the AA treatment, Whereas if it was popping off, did millions of views in the first day, it's like, oh, okay, let's put even more money in. Let's double down, that type of thing. Have I checked out the Shroom and Gloom demo on Steam? No, I have not. When you have a subscription service, you have to make it look like you have a lot of stuff going on in there. Hell yeah. That's true. That's why Microsoft will keep announcing a ton of stuff and then probably canceling half of it. Speaking of canceling games, this one looks not super long for this world. Do you guys remember back in June, a game dropped from Remedy, of all companies? Remedy. Where did I put? Oh, right. I opened it in another. Remedy dropped a live service game, and it didn't go super well. Basically what happened, Remedy dropped a game called FBC Firebreak. And Remedy, of course, are the same guys that did Alan Wake and did Control and all that. And this game is actually set in the universe of Control, and it's got a lot of direct inspiration, even asset, things taken and copy and pasted over. But they dropped this, like, I believe it's a 3-player multiplayer shooter, whatever. But they held their earnings calls and they discussed all of the results of this launch. And it was a complex thing. As you can see here, Remedy was, quote, unsatisfied by the poor sales of FBC Firebreak and a tiny PC player base, but says, quote, despite the rocky launch, we believe we have a solid game to build on. So they don't plan on dropping it. The majority of the game's money, though, was made through deals to put it on Game Pass and PlayStation Plus rather than actual copies sold. And this is what I said in the run-up to its release, was the saving grace potentially for it was that it was on all of these subscription services, because I think they wanted $30 for it. And I'm sorry, like, unless you are a giga company or in a very well-established IP and it's a familiar game like Night Rain, where it's like, hey, it's Elden Ring, but multiplayer. That's something people can easily understand. This one, it's like, it's in the universe of Control, but it plays nothing like Control. It's a harder sell, I think. So yeah, so player drop-off rates have been really, really rough. As you can see, just 5% of players own a level 3 perk. That's not great. Means a lot of people are probably downloading the game through Game Pass, PlayStation Plus, but they aren't even launching it, or they're launching it once and never booting into it again. That's not great. It's just not. On consoles, there seems to be a bit more interest. Remedy recently touted hitting 1 million players, a number certainly not reached primarily on PC, but the other part of that equation is that Firebreak is available on Xbox Game Pass and PlayStation Plus. Higher volume of players on Xbox and PlayStation hardware doesn't indicate good sales or even folks sticking with the game. It's why you got to be cautious. You remember back in the day, all of like 3 months ago with AC Shadows, people were like, Ubisoft is only talking about like revenue numbers and they're only talking about players and engagement. They're not talking about units sold and all this. And players, or maybe not players specifically, but people who were discussing that were right to bring that up and be like, hey, they're choosing their words very carefully. And it's true. Those words were chosen very, very carefully. And it can often be indicative of maybe like the units sold is not that impressive. But what I tried to remind people is that AC Shadows has a lot of microtransactions. It has a lot of skins. It has XP boosts. It has the DLC expansion season pass or whatever. And that's where they make the lion's share of their money. It's not an upfront sales. It's about the tail on it. That's where they make a ton of it. And so for investors in Ubisoft, they care more about that engagement rather than just straight up units, which is why they were willing to sell it at discounts relatively, or historically games at discounts relatively quickly. Because if they can get you in to AC Odyssey, the odds of you buying a skin or a cosmetic shoot up. If they can get you in to AC Valhalla, the odds of you spending money on high margin things like, you know, cosmetics skyrocket. If they can just get the foot in the door, that can go well. This, on the other hand, is the opposite side of that debate, where they're mentioning players, saying we hit 1 million players, and that can sound amazing for a live service game until you realize what defines a player. Does that just mean somebody who downloaded the game from Game Pass for free or included in their membership and never booted it up? Does player mean they booted up the game, or does player mean that you've reached a certain level of character? Like, how are you defining player? Because if you use a really unremarkable definition of player and you're like, no, it's just people who have downloaded the game, then you can start to understand how that number of 1 million players means almost nothing. You can have a game with 1 million players that's losing and hemorrhaging money if you have 1 million players, but only 5% of them are playing past level 3 on their characters. You know, it just doesn't work. So the point of this is to say, whether it's Ubisoft or Remedy, you have to be aware of what language is being used, and you also have to look at the specific offering. And if it's a live service game or a game with live service like shops and monetization elements, it's not just about raw players. It's about how they're engaging. It's about how they're spending on the back end. Their latest investor report seems to confirm that analysis. It states, quote, the majority of players were Xbox Series X and S series and PlayStation 5 players, and that thus far FBC Firebreak's commercial performance has largely been driven by Xbox and PlayStation service agreements. So they're saying the majority of the money or the performance has largely been driven by the deals they made to have them go on Xbox Game Pass and PlayStation Plus, not necessarily from player spending, which is like, that's not what you want. You know, you'd hope the players are spending money, because the players are the ones that are going to be there a month after launch or 3 months after launch. You know, you kind of need that. It's not great. not great if you're still relying on like the exclusivity deal of this or that, or the marketing deal for this or that. It's not what you want. They say reception is improving over time as the game is updated, and that despite a rocky launch, we believe we have a solid game to build on. Pointing to major update in September, it's optimistic about the game's future, but it's hard to see it as anything other than a brave face to investors. Turning things around seems almost impossible for a game so few have stuck with, and I don't see anything in the planned update substantial enough or arriving quickly enough to make a big difference there. And this is kind of my perspective. The fact that most people have already forgotten about it. And even when they did have some trailers for it, for example, FBC Firebreak, like it just doesn't look that remarkable. Like even if you get it through Game Pass, it maybe is a game you play with your buddies one night, but this is kind of what it looks like to me, is a game that you boot up, you play for 3 hours on a Friday night with your friends, and you never touch it again because the next week there's another game on Game Pass for you to try. You know, it's the give and the take with being on a subscription service and not being a premium title. Like the idea of being a premium title for a lot of these companies is that if they can get you to spend 30, 40, 50 bucks, whatever it is, to get your, like to literally get entrance into the nightclub, you're likely to stay there for longer. Even if you go to the nightclub and your first drink that you ordered is not that good, because you already spent 50 bucks to get in, you're likely to spend another 10, 15 to try another drink and see if that one's better. Because it's like the sunk cost fallacy. It's like it's what happened with Suicide Squad. People were like, hey, I paid 70 bucks to get in here. I can't just give up on it immediately, even though after an hour I'm not having fun. I already paid 70 bucks. So I'm going to stick with it. I got to like it. I have to get my money's worth out of it. And it's why a lot of other companies have looked at doing premium pricing for some of these games too, because it's not just about like getting over that initial hump of maybe players don't like the first few hours. It's also just a matter of practicality, where like say you have a game like Marathon where the vast majority of matches are dependent on having 3-player teams. Because as of right now, they don't have a solo queue. So you need a certain number of players to fill out a lobby with 4 or 5 teams of 3. You just have to have it. And if you're free to play, you'll initially get a lot of players flooding in to just try it for free. But the likelihood of them dropping off after a match or two, especially in an extraction shooter where frustration is very high, that's going to be much, much more likely than if somebody put the money up as a premium experience first, you know? So it's a tale as old as time of a live service game running into troubles very, very quickly. But this is something I think most of us could have told you. Most of us could have given you the heads up. And, you know, it's excuse me. I don't have my coffee today, and you can tell. I think it was Remedy's attempt to break into the live service craze, and it's what investors expected, and it never really made that much sense. And, you know, I respect them for trying, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to just throw money at them as like, you know, a pat on the head charity thing where it's like, hey, you guys tried. Good job. If it doesn't make sense, if it's not that fun, and there's other games out there that are more fun or free or that my friends are already playing, I'm just going to go play those. Like, it's too competitive to do this kind of thing. But by the time this came out, I'm sure it had already been in the works for years, so they couldn't just walk away. But still. Let me also post this in chats before I forget. I'm sipping on my French roast. How dare you? I'm so jealous. Let me pin these links. If you've not already, the links I'm pinning in chat are for the PS5 Pro giveaway, just so you know. If you have not entered yet, get entered. Because once you enter, you don't have to think about it. So just do it. Just do it. Have you ever played tennis, Luke? I'm going to show you something. See how short these arms are? See how stubby these are? How I'm practically a T-Rex? I could probably play tennis okay if I was in like a little league. You know, playing against toddlers or elementary school students. Adults with normal proportions, I wouldn't stand a chance. I wouldn't stand a chance. Yeah, those are pickleball arms. Exactly. Exactly. Thank you. Somebody gets it. Somebody gets it. Yes. Your calves say otherwise. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my God. Let's see. Oh, this was funny. This was funny. So Microsoft has started the marketing campaign for Call of Duty, like right after the beta, the first week of the beta for Battlefield ended. They started putting up these signs, okay? I saw this initially from T-Dog, friend of the channel, really cool guy. He posted this. He said, I just spotted this in San Francisco. Scan the QR code ASAP. And if you scan the QR code, it will take you. I'll do it. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. Right there. Takes us to a bit.ly link. And it goes to theguild.io. It wants me to rotate my device to continue. What on earth is this? Come on. Come on. Funny, it doesn't like the Z Fold 7. The Guild.io. The Guild.io. This is what it takes you to. Together, we won't fear tomorrow. And as you can see, if you scroll down far enough, you get to Activision Publishing, and it's an ad for... I pressed the wrong button. Sorry for the jump scare. It's an ad for the new Call of Duty, okay? Together, we won't fear tomorrow. And they have a bunch of these little bitty things, and the other language that they use in all of these items is like, the biggest lie tech ever told is it's on your side. Just bear in mind, this is a company that's owned by a $4 trillion giga corporation, one of the most valuable companies in the world. Like literally top 5 most valuable companies. I think it's Nvidia at number 1. Let's see. Yeah, it's Nvidia at number 1. Microsoft is number 2. They're a $4 trillion company. Okay. So it's very, very funny. It's very funny to see them marketing it this way, where it's like, do you know who your boss is? Like who you're working for? It's funny. I understand how they have people in the marketing team that are not billionaires, that don't like big tech, because they're people like you and me in the marketing team. I mean, they're not getting rich. They're just working their day-to-day job, and they're like, yeah, the biggest lie tech ever told you was it's on your side. It's true, yeah. But the perception of it being done to promote a product for a $4 trillion company is a little funny. I'm sorry. I'm just going to point it out. It's a little funny, okay? It's a little funny. But they've even gone like full ARG with it. Do you guys know, friend of the channel, Caleb Hammer? Do you know Caleb Hammer? No doubt you've seen the clips. This is his ad segment on a recent episode.
When we talk about personal finance, it's about risk management, things like building an emergency fund or investing instead of blowing those dollars on taquitos. But when it comes to the real world, what if protection could be something you subscribe to? I'm not talking about another streaming platform or gym membership that takes an arm and a leg to cancel. I mean security for your well-being and family that no one else is offering. That is the idea behind the Guild. With years in the defense sector, they're equipped to build the AI systems and robotics that keep all that we know safe, especially in unpredictable times like now. So if you could safeguard the life you've worked so hard for, why would you not? You don't need another subscription. You need boots on the ground protection with future-proof tech. That is the Guild. You care about future-proof
You need to hire an android to kick some ass.
in your finances, so maybe start thinking about how you're protecting your life. If big tech is watching you, the Guild is watching out for you. Visit theguild.io to learn more. Your future self will thank you. This is not an offer to invest. Terms and conditions apply. The Guild is a creative property of Activision. Trademark and copyright 2025.
It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. Will I be taking the Guild sponsorship? I've not received a Guild sponsorship, but I'm sure they pay well. Honestly, it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. I'll give them. I know some people are like, they aren't even showing gameplay yet. Yeah, dude. This is like a meta thing. Okay, we can have a little fun. I like creative marketing. Okay, if you get to a week out from launch and I've not seen gameplay, then you know we'll wave the flags and we'll be worried about it. But if we're just having fun marketing it, I'm okay with that. It keeps things exciting and interesting. You know, the spark of life, what have you. This is kind of fun. And I think, I mean, obviously he's in on it. Some people were like, wow, they actually lied to him to get him to do the deal. Do you really think he would do a promotion with a company you can find no information about because it literally doesn't exist? The Guild, where he is calling for people to not bother with other protection, but to get actual boots on the ground security with like androids and stuff. Like, no, he's in on the joke. Okay. Like he's in on it. He's in on it. Okay. And it's funny. It's funny. So I like these little like trippy, crazy marketing things, but it doesn't change the fact that the game has to be good. I mean, you can do all this crazy ARG stuff, but if the game sucks, it won't change anything. That's ultimately the deciding factor. As we saw with like Marathon. Marathon did a really cool ARG. They did a lot of really cool stuff. But if the game just isn't ready, it's not ready. If the game isn't good, it's not good. Like none of this will matter. But at the very least, it starts the discussion, you know? It starts the discussion, which I think is key. When it comes to all this, though, I think they're going to, you know, start to rev up the marketing cycle. They're going to spend a crap ton on it, as they always do. But I do think it's going to be really fascinating this year specifically to see how Call of Duty is perceived and judged against Battlefield. Because a lot of people are playing Battlefield, are trying it, are eating it up. Like, what is Call of Duty bringing to the table that's going to be either an answer, or maybe they just straight up don't care. They don't care. They are putting a lot of effort onto this like really narrative heavy side of it, which historically has not been the biggest focus, to say the very least, for Call of Duty. Typically Call of Duty, like the vast majority of their money comes from games like Warzone, or, you know, of course, multiplayer and skins and stuff. So to see them focusing on what seems to be like the narrative for probably the campaign is just surprising to me. It's surprising. And maybe they nail it. Maybe they absolutely, you know, blow it away, but I don't know. It's going to be fascinating. It's going to be fascinating to see what they do. I'm here for it though. I'm here for it. Competition ultimately is what's good. And that's what we've needed. And Call of Duty has not really had competition for years at this point. And as a result, it's, I think, suffered and just steadily been getting more and more lame. But, you know, it's we'll see. We'll find out soon. They're starting to rev up the marketing, and they're doing these like really bizarre like multimedia marketing things, and you know, I'm here for it. I'm here. I'm watching. I'm waiting. New Ghost of Yotei footage. Yes. They just dropped this 26 minutes ago. Kasurigama gameplay for Ghost of Yotei. And it's literally just a little snippet of the swing, the attack, and then we're going to see her pull it out here in a second. There it is. Of course, custom camera angles. This is not the camera angle you'll have when you're playing. That would be a little disorienting. But just some really quick and chill little gameplay snippets. Ooh. Okay. I'm surprised the enemies aren't being alerted to any of this. Like, I get it. They're probably just trying to showcase it. I would have expected, like, he just watched both of these dudes get demolished. I guess he's got the chainmail. Maybe that, like, covers his vision. I feel like this should be alerting them. Maybe they're playing on, like, easy difficulty for the demo's sake. Like, this guy right here is not that far away from the dude that... I feel like that would normally be seen, right? I feel like that would normally be seen, and I'm probably just reading into it more, but I feel like the AI is a little brain dead. But it is a demoed, like, trailer. Hey. Hey guys, maybe we shouldn't wear such flammable stuff. Okay. Where did he come from? Yeah, showcasing it against each one of these weapons and archetypes with the shield. Interesting. Like, obviously, I think that this is set up with like a demo difficulty or something. Because this dude walks around this barrel and literally does not get aggroed at all. He walks all the way over to here, and then after this animation is done playing out, then is like, huh? So this probably is not indicative of the actual in-game AI. If it is, oh, but I'm guessing it's probably just set up like this for the sake of the demo. That would be my guess. That'd be my guess. Especially because I don't remember noticing this in previous trailers and stuff they've done. I feel like I would have noticed it if it were there. I don't know. Ghost of Yotei is going to be really interesting because I think it looks, I mean, come on. Come on. Look at that. This is ridiculous. Like, somehow they managed to make all these open world shots look like they are a custom framed wallpaper, you know, that's been captured specifically and intentionally. It's just beautiful. Obviously, a game is more about just graphical beauty and art direction, but damn, does it help, you know? It's a lot easier to get immersed in something when it's gorgeous, when it's gorgeous. But I'm interested to see specifically what they have iterated on, what they've refined, because they've said that they're not trying to reinvent the wheel. You know, there were things in Ghost of Tsushima that obviously worked really well, but they also want to try and refine a lot of the points of friction, a lot of the points of frustration people had, because back in the day, people complained about repetition, about a lack of true variety in the activities you were doing in the open world. Yes, it was big and beautiful, but there's only so many birds you can chase and foxholes you can find before it starts to feel repetitive, because fundamentally it is, you know? So I'm interested to see how they've tweaked it and what they've refined, you know? Expecting Yotei to have a better gameplay or worse? Oh, you're saying you're expecting Yotei to have a better gameplay, but worse story. I think the story is probably going to play out, from what I've seen so far, very predictably. It sounds like it's a pretty straightforward revenge plot. My family's been killed and I now have to go and get revenge. Like, that's fine. It's a story that's been told 1,000 times in various ways because it's a tale as old as time. And it's probably, let's be real, it's probably one of those games where it's like, okay, there are 7 members of the order that you must go and kill, and then that will expose the big bad wolf dragon man. And you go, and that's the ultimate boss fight in the big castle on the hill. And yeah, you realize I'm basically just describing the story of AC Shadows. Yeah, because it's basically what it is. And so I'm not expecting the story to like wow me. I think the one way they could really shake it up that would be good is with things like flashbacks, which they've alluded to. Things such as, parallel storytelling, where it's something that The Last of Us tried to do with all those flashbacks to previous things and events between Joel and Ellie. And so as you're going through the modern day story, you also have these flashbacks that are going also in timeline, but 5 years before, basically, or 3 years before, or 2 years before. And I think you could do something interesting there to especially build her out as a character. Because my fear, just based on what I've heard so far, is that it's literally going to be like, I've done a lot of DMing for D&D. I ran a campaign for my friends. We actually stretched it out for a full year. We got to do the whole thing. It was awesome. But one of the difficulties with writing a story, especially with a lot of people, playing D&D, is that there are people who really like the misery porn. They're like, how do I make this story interesting? I'll just make it miserably sad. My family has been dead this whole time, and my wife is dead, and my son is dead, and my mother is dead. It's like, okay, well, like, can we have anything to like motivate you or that your character can be excited about? Oh yeah, like my dog who is dead. It's like, we can't do anything nice. So I hope that this is not one of those stories where it's just somebody who's miserably sad and depressed the whole time. Because it's hard to get immersed in a character when they're just a miserable, sad state of a person, But, they did a very good job with the story of Ghost of Tsushima, in my opinion. And I loved the themes there specifically. The most engaging and compelling part of Ghost of Tsushima for me was the story, in addition to combat. Combat was very good. But the story was so interesting to me because it was tackling these themes of honor and also like familial loyalty as well. But fundamentally, like the idea of honor and how Jin was having to give up his honor in order to save his people and his land. And it was something where, I guess no spoilers, I won't go into too much, but there were people around him that disagreed with his approach. And there's one moment with poison that very specifically kind of lights the powder keg and causes a lot of issues, because it's like, that is a line we don't cross, but you crossed it. And he's like, otherwise we'll die. Like, at some point we have to get over this. And I thought that was such an interesting story to explore. And traditions and all this. I love it. With this, I've basically seen no discourse or discussion of those themes. And I've watched the dev interviews and stuff, and they say like, yeah, the character has her own motivations and things, and I'm sure she will. But I just haven't heard a theme for the story that I find anywhere near as compelling as the themes in the first game. But we'll see. I'm really open to it. I'm really excited to see it either way, especially with how much I love the first game. Ooh. Oh. They also, these little things where like when you're out in the open world, you'll have people come to your camp so you don't have to go and get distracted running off to go speak with an NPC in the middle of nowhere. Like little bitty improvements like that, I think are going to be really, really cool. And that's what they were good at with Ghost of Tsushima 2, where they were like, hey, mini-maps suck. A compass on screen sucks. What if we just told the player where to go with the wind? Like the wind blows in the direction of where you need to go. Then we don't need that stuff. Of course, brilliant, great idea. Why has no one else thought of this? They're really good at just breaking down something like that you take for granted and just breaking it down into its component parts, being like, hey, we don't need to do it that way. We can do it this way. And it's awesome. It's awesome. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they do with it. The combat is going to be interesting because, of course, Jin was specifically changing stances for different enemy types, whereas in this game it's based on changing specific weapons and Atsu swapping for like you know, the Kasurigama or swapping to the long sword or the short sword. And that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, if it's as compelling and interesting. I'm not sure. Kratos was miserable, but that game was amazing. Well, he's miserable, but it literally is about redemption, and it depends on which one you're looking at. Because I think the old original trilogy, Kratos is just miserable, but it's from a different era in gaming where I think the standards for the narrative had shifted. And I think, you know, his story was tragic, but it made sense in that universe. Whereas like God of War 2018, Kratos is sad and broken, but it's literally a game about him learning that, like, for one, life's still worth living, and that he now has this duty to his son, and he, you know, life is worth living even without Faye, and it's still fantastic in its own right. The story of Ghost of Tsushima does make sense historically, but still love the game. I mean, I think with a lot of things, you got to be there's a good amount of historical massaging that happens, you know. It's a good amount. Same thing with like freaking Mafia the Old Country. It's like, yeah, put it in a setting, try to be grounded in as much as you can, but obviously we understand that you're telling a historical or a fictional story within a historical setting. Sometimes you can overstep, certainly. And one of the cringiest things is when you have a game that is historical fiction. So it's like set in the Revolutionary War, but you're playing as this character named Connor. And it's like, obviously there were not Templars and there was no magic apple of Eden. Like all of that stuff is not real, but we understand that it's historical fiction, right? And, you know, as long as you're in these barriers, you're fine. But some cultures, some historical settings and stuff, and some changes, I think, could be perceived as overstepping. At least for main stories. Like, people forget, but literally, I get maybe Americans just have thick skin. But I still find this such a funny DLC for them to have done. Do you remember the Tyranny of King Washington? This was literally a DLC for AC3 set in an alternative timeline.
Born not of courage and of brotherhood.
Where George Washington lost his mind, became corrupted, and declared himself king.
Commanded not by a leader of men, but by the hand of a possessed tyrant. A constitution built atop the blood and ashes of the innocent. An empire fed only by war and death. One crown. One ruler. And one man to stop King Washington.
Interesting idea for a DLC, right? It was very, very broken for years and years and years. It was kind of a disaster, but a fun idea. Fun idea, right? But I would guess, honestly, I think maybe nowadays we're just way more sensitive than we were back in whenever this was, 2013. Because I could see if they revealed this now, people are like, oh my God, Ubisoft hates America. Ubisoft hates... I can see the videos already. It's like, George Washington was a national treasure and hero. How could you do this and suggest that this is... snowflakes have showed up on both sides. That's what I'm saying. You know, people would throw a fit over this nowadays, whereas back then it was whatever. You know, I'm sure people would find a reason to be upset. I'm like, it's literally an alternative timeline. It's whatever. It's whatever. No man is sacred. No man should be off limits of making a timeline like this. But it would be just very cringy if people started throwing a fit. He had cool teeth, dude. It would be cool. Imagine if they made it today and he had a gold grill. And then it's an in-game store cosmetic. You pay $10, you get the King Washington grill. That sounds fire. Yeah. Are you going to make a critique video on Mafia the Old Country? Funny you mentioned that, because last night I was working on my outline. That is my goal. I don't think I'm going to try to do anything like ridiculously massive with it, but I want to be able to talk about the story. I want to talk about the gameplay setup and structure. I want to talk about the endings specifically, especially the ending. So yeah, I want to go through that. So do expect something. Yes. Yeah, the game's amazing. Yeah, dude, the story's very good. I understand no spoilers here. If you do any spoilers, you're banned forever. But I do think there's a lot to discuss with the ending for sure. So, or I'm missing the ending really predictable. It depends on whether you listened to a guy at a church. That's all I will say. And if you know the guy I'm talking about, you'll know what I'm talking about. But it's interesting. It's very interesting. Yeah, Debate Nate. Yes, I did see that. I do have it pulled up. How long is it? My runtime was like, I think it was like 13 hours, 12 and a half, 13 hours, something like that. But to be fair, I did film that video where I was driving around in the free roam mode. So I did do a good amount of that. So that probably buffed it a little bit, but yeah. It's a solid runtime for what it is. Let's see. Okay, let's talk about Crimson Desert real quick. Let's talk about this and the sadness that this instills. So, let's see. Did I catch up on all these? Ooh, wait, I didn't realize I had scrolled up on our little notification list, so I missed all of these super chats and stuff. I'm sorry. Where did I leave off? Galahad, thank you for the 10, or I don't actually know what that translates to, but thank you for the super chat. Thank you for your content. Luke, do you think after Monolith's closure, we will see the Nemesis system in any Warner Brother games ever again? I think we will see it again. As for what project it shows up in, I have no idea. No idea. I'd be shocked if they sit on it for another 10 years, though. I don't think it's available until 2036 for the, like, I don't think it goes into the public domain or whatever until then. So I can't imagine they sit on it for another 10, 11 years. I think somebody pitches something with it. I don't have any secret knowledge. I don't have any, like, breaking news with Luke. I'm not doing a social experiment. But I do think that there's going to be some use for it. I don't think they're just going to walk away from it. Lots of PC crashes. It's really sad. Yeah, dude, I've heard people say it, but I've played on my laptop. I've played through GeForce Now and on my big gaming PC, and I have had like no issues. I've had one graphical bug that happened right as I entered a gameplay sequence and then I reloaded. I would show you it, but it has a spoiler on screen like right as it happened. So I'll wait for the critique video. But yeah, I'm usually a bug magnet, like really bad. You guys know all too well. I usually am a bug magnet, but I've not run into like any significant issues. Ray Farr, thank you for the 5. Finally finished Mafia 3 and decided to play Definitive Edition right after. And holy, a game that works. I like 3's story, but in my opinion, Definitive Edition is insanely good. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Definitive Edition is very, very good. I love that game. I just love the Mafia series and the stories. They're all just so freaking good. I understand why some people don't. I understand some people need more meat on the gameplay bone. I totally understand that. You know, just like if we go out to a restaurant and It's like, hey, they have fantastic salad or soup, because nobody likes salad. They have fantastic soup, but the steaks are pretty rough. No matter what you order, it's going to be well done, and they're small. If you don't like soup, you're just not going to have a good time. You know, even if the soup is amazing, even if the soup is fantastic, you're just not going to have a good time at that restaurant, right? But if you really like soup, as I do, I also love steak, but I love a good soup. I can go to that restaurant and have a great time. I understand why some people won't like it, but for me, I'm here for it. You know? And that's totally fine. It's totally fine. If you're like, hey, I need more complexity in the gameplay, that's totally cool. No worries at all. No worries at all. The thing I find cringy is just when people are like, yeah, so it's got an amazing story, yeah, but the gameplay doesn't have a ton of complexity, so 5 out of 10. It's like, get out of here. Get out of here. Yeah, dude, now I'm hungry. I'm just hungry, dude. I'm just hungry. I will confess, I do like salad too. I do like salad. I specifically Caesar salad. I'd go hard for a good Caesar salad. Ooh, but I swear to God, dude, Caesar salad, if I order it at a restaurant, you had better mix that salad for me, okay? You had better mix that salad. I cannot fathom the gall it takes to serve a salad at a restaurant where you just pour the dressing over the top of it. I'm paying you for a salad, and you're just gonna like drizzle it on, like, and then I'm trying to use a fork to stir it up, or I like stab the salad and I get one piece that's covered in dressing and the rest has none. No. You have a kitchen back there. Stir it up for me. Like, what are we doing? Texas Roadhouse? They know how to serve a good Caesar salad. They do the chilled bowl, so the salad stays very cold. It's already mixed up. They put the cheese and then they mix it and they put cheese on top, the Parmesan. Oh, it's good. It's good. I'm here for that. Some people, they try too hard with salad. You know, they're like, oh, it's just a quarter or a half of a wedge of romaine, and then we just drizzled that. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, this is terrible. You go into influencer places to make food for photography and not for edibility. Well, dude, if I find that at a restaurant, I go there once, then I don't go back. You know, I don't go back. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's like the time I went out to a restaurant with a bunch of like YouTubers and TikTokers. I think it was E3 like last year, or E3 Summer Games Fest last year. And one of the TikTokers said a line I will never, ever forget in my life. They bring out all the food. It looks delicious. And nobody wants to be rude, so nobody's eating yet until everybody has their food. And as they're bringing it out, they set all the bowls down. And then the last guy to get his bowl, they set his like bowl, plate, whatever in front of him. So everybody like picks up their forks, ready to dive in. And then he like grabs his phone. And he said this, and I swear to God he said this. He goes, "Oh, sorry. Oh no, my camera. Oh no, what happened? Oh no." The TikTok gods rebelled. Okay, that was weird. I don't know what just happened. My camera just rebooted. But he picks up his phone and he just goes, "Sorry, my camera eats before I do." It's like I can't be around you. I can't do this anymore. I was like, especially in the grand scheme, this is how I know I'm a boomer. In the grand scheme of things, no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay. It's literally a 10-second diversion. He didn't say we had to stop and not eat yet. He's just like, yeah, I like taking pictures of my food. I put it on my Instagram story or whatever. It's just what he does. Okay. That's fine. It's whatever. It really is not a big deal. But in that moment, I was like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Can we not have a sacred meal together? Like, what is happening? I can't deal. I'm an old man. I think that's the key point. That's so 2012. It's the youngins. It's the youths out there. I didn't realize I triggered somebody in my family. We were at like a dinner and I was kind of rambling about a similar topic as this. And I'm talking to like older people at the table, like my in-laws and stuff. So I didn't think, I'm in friendly territory, right? Friendly territory. They're all going to be like, yeah, totally agree. Put your phone down. And I finished like my rant by saying, I don't care what shirt you bought at the store today. I don't care what soup you got or sandwich you got. If I'm on social media and I see you posting something stupid like that, I block you. And I'm like going on and on. Well, somebody at the table literally was taking out their phone to take a picture of their food to put on their Instagram story as I'm rambling about this. And I'm talking like here. I didn't see them over there doing, like, I didn't know. And so they thought I was like kind of attacking them. And I was like, I stand by what I said. I'm sorry. I don't care. Respectfully, I don't give a crap. It's like, I'm not going to be like, oh no, but for you, it's cool. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you what I think, I don't care. I just don't. If you're doing it to like collect, did I block them? Yeah, I haven't talked to them since. If I'm, if I'm like, like if you're taking pictures because you have a food blog, that makes sense to me. But if you're literally like, look, world, at my Barks root beer, be jealous. Like, I don't. What are we doing? I give up. Anyway, sorry everybody. Sorry. Yeah, the beard makes you look way older than you actually are. Yeah. I'm 28. The beard does make me look older. I've also heard my voice makes me look older, sound older. I don't know. Real quick, broken controller, $2 super chat. Crimson Desert delayed. I knew that was going to happen. Yeah, dude, they issued a full statement on why they are delaying it. And it's kind of funny because some of their excuses are like just normal stuff that everybody has to do with. They're like, yeah, console verification. I'm like, everybody knows about console verification. Like, this has never been a problem for anybody else, but okay. So we'll talk about it. Let's see. I read that one. That one. Logan. Yeah. Real cute. Give me Infamous Remastered, please. Maybe. Probably not, but maybe. Logan, thank you again for the other two. God of War 1 through 3 are infinitely better than 2018. And Ragnarok, careful. Sometimes Corey is in here. Well, he did God of War 2, so he'll probably be okay with that. But yeah, sometimes Corey Barlog comes in here and hangs out in chat. So you gotta be careful talking like that, saying stuff like that. You gotta be cautious. Edgar, thank you for the 5. Thing is, though, all of America wanted him to be king like president, so it doesn't make sense. The like George Washington with that stuff. I don't know if all of America wanted him to. I know some people wanted him to just stay as president. But it's been a while since I watched Hamilton, so I don't remember all the details of American history with it. Let's see. I read that one. Samuel, thank you. I played the Hell Is Us demo on PS5 and had fun last night. Puzzles and NPC interactions are my highlights. What was your feedback after you tried the PC demo? I really liked what I saw. Of course, there's the obvious stuff like, hey, performance, you could refine that. Like, that stuff goes without saying. But I really like it. I'm genuinely curious how it translates to a long-term, like long-form game. Because it's one thing to have a pretty tight experience where it's unguided and you're just figuring it out yourself. But when it's the entire game like that, I could see it getting really difficult to keep track, which is by design, but that's why I'm intrigued. Like, it's kind of exciting. I'm not saying that it's going to be bad. I'm saying, like, I genuinely am interested to see how that translates to a long-term, like, 30-hour game. Like, how do you put enough breadcrumbs in the game to drive players to the right places while also like letting them find the breadcrumbs and being okay with them not picking up some of them, you know? I'm very interested in it. I'm very interested. So we'll see. But speaking of this, let's talk about Crimson Desert finally. New segment. Well, everybody, Crimson Desert, the game whose primary critique is often that it looks too good to be true, has been delayed, which honestly, as we've said a bajillion times, you know, with many different games, if you got a delay to get the vision complete, I'm okay with it. Delay it as much as you need so long as you can deliver on what people are excited about. And I've actually had the chance to play Crimson Desert. I played it at Summer Games Fest and played a pretty intensive sequence of gameplay and combat. And I was really, really impressed by what they were doing. Of course, it was a fairly tight sliver of what is going to be a gigantic game. So who knows how some of the more nuanced, smaller elements will work. Sorry, this sheep always gets me. I always chuckle whenever I see it. Watch the sheep's face. Its mouth is just stuck open. I don't know why I find it funny. But I'm intrigued by it. I think it looks very, very good. And honestly, when people's primary complaint about your game is that it looks too good to be true, you're in a good position, so long as your game is real and you can deliver on it. The only main point of like frustration I had in my playtest was that the control scheme it's probably one of the most complicated things I've seen in a game that is coming out in recent memory. Like, all sorts of specific controller, like trigger and bumper combos. You hold down left bumper and then you do this. And then to jump, you have to do right trigger, left trigger, right trigger. It can get very overwhelming. But I think when you're playing the game from start to finish, that will just become muscle memory. Whereas jumping into a demo, it can be really intimidating, right? There are also some other nuanced things, like, for example, the camera lock and combat aiming lock are two separate things in the game. So lots of people brought up that the combat like lock on wasn't working right, but it was because they had turned on camera lock on, but not combat lock on, which for 99% of games, I feel like is the same thing. But in this one, it's different. So there's a bunch of little nuances like that can be ironed out and polished as they get closer to launch. And who knows, maybe when you're playing the game, again, from tutorial to finish, it's not complicated because you already know it. Like, I'm sure if you went into an endgame Ghost of Tsushima save with Jin with the 4 different stances and you're trying to juggle that with enemies like in the Iki Island DLC that swap stances and swap weapons consistently, I'm sure it'd be very complicated to figure out, how do I swap to this one and to this pose and to this, like, how do I do that? It's too complicated. But when you've played the game from the beginning, it's just muscle memory. So I don't want to like hold that against it, because it very well could just end up being a non-issue once we've played the game from the beginning. But it's also because there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of nuanced complexity. And as you can see just in this shot, the map is freaking gigantic. It takes nods from Tears of the Kingdom. It takes nods from different Assassin's Creed games. It takes nods from games like Dragon's Dogma. It's crazy. And what I will say is the segment that I played had boss sequences and gameplay, and it also had some ridiculous number of enemies on screen at any given time. It was a siege battle specifically, and there were hundreds of enemies on screen at certain points. It was ridiculous. So I'm thoroughly intrigued by it. I'm very excited by it. But they've announced, as I said, that they are delaying the game until Q1 of 2026. And they actually issued a long statement as part of this, as part of their Q2 2025 earnings call, where they outlined more specifically what is going on, okay? So they started this by saying before the Q&A session, I would like to first share an update on the development status and release schedule of Crimson Desert, which many of you have been curious about, Prolibus said in its earnings call. Currently, Crimson Desert has been in the process of voiceovers while also carrying out tasks such as voice or console certification in preparation for its release. Now, voiceovers being done late in development might seem like jarring. You got to remember, it's not like an English speaking studio. So if they're working on English dubs for localization, it would make sense why it's being done later. And it is something that I think, that could very well cause delays potentially. While also carrying out tasks such as console verification and certification in preparation for its release. In the case of marketing, we plan to participate in Gamescom and PAX West this August to showcase our open world build. And in September, we will join Tokyo Game Show to strengthen our marketing efforts in the Japanese market.
Donated $10 through Super Chat. This game looks like it's going to shred my 4090. GALLLLL.
Yes. I do think it will. I think it will. It seemed very heavy, and it seemed to rely a lot on like upscalers. But I will say it looked really good. But it's not going to be a game you're getting 200 frames in, is my guess. Not to say it's going to be bad. It's just this is a heavy game. It's not going to be one that you're like, hey, yeah, I'm rocking at 250 frames. No problem. No chill. It's heavy. They say the launch of Crimson Desert, our first large-scale AAA console game, has been unavoidably delayed by 1 quarter from the previously announced schedule. This is due to longer than expected timelines arising from schedule coordination and collaboration with multiple partners for offline distribution, voiceovers, console certification, and other launch preparations. And what's funny and interesting about this is that they are not saying that the game is not ready. They're not saying, like most games get delayed. They say, hey, we need more time to polish and to get the game to the quality level players expect. That's not what they're saying. They're saying they are delaying it because of like delays in schedule coordination for offline distribution, VO, console certification, and other stuff. Like maybe console certification, they specifically to get it like verified on console and certified on console. Certified on console, we have to go and the game has to be polished to a certain point. We need more time for that. So that's included in that excuse. But it just feels weird that they're not saying we need to polish it more. It's because of voiceover delays, offline distribution. So like physical distribution, maybe? Is that what that means? And other launch stuff. We sincerely apologize for not being able to meet the originally promised 4th quarter launch schedule. Please kindly understand that this is a strategic decision aimed at ensuring success on a meaningful scale. Okay, interesting. The release date has been internally confirmed for Q1 2026. However, given the change in launch timing, we will announce the date at a more appropriate time based on business considerations. Rather than making an announcement at Gamescom next week, we are grateful for your continued interest in our company, and we will do our utmost to deliver an even better experience going forward. So still no specific date. They're just saying they are delaying it to early next year in order to have more time to prepare for launch. It could be, and this is the thing where it's like, it could just be translation issues and things where maybe, it honestly is, the game is ready. We just ran into problems with optimization and console certification because we've historically only done big MMOs. We weren't really aware of all of the extra hoops we'd have to jump through for single player stuff. Maybe it's that they genuinely think that they can do a massive marketing push in Q1, and so they're deciding to delay it, and they see an opportunity to launch maybe in like January, February, and they think that they could really, blow some other games out of the water if they launch there, whereas this fall they might be, maybe the competition might be a little higher, so they decided to just get out of there. Who knows? But I do think, more time is good. And what I played this summer, I thought was really impressive. And, you know, it wasn't quite on the level where I was like, hey, it's launch ready. There were a few like little bitty things where I was like, yeah, we could probably polish this up and we could probably trim that. But it was not rough. Like when I played Marathon in, what was that, early May, like May 3rd or 4th or 5th or something, whenever I was in Washington, we played that and they were like, yeah, we're launching within like 5 months. And everybody that was there was like, are you sure about that? And turns out we were right to be skeptical of that launch date because it wasn't ready. It didn't look like it could be ready in time. This I was really impressed with, and I was like, okay, the game is real. It plays very impressively. I think like we polish up some of the frame dips that might have happened here or there, but overall, I mean, I was really impressed. And they said specifically that there was a performance issue that was tied to I think it was like one of the GPUs they were using, and it was a hardware issue. They were like, yeah, we verified, even other games do this, so it's not even our game. Like it literally is just a problem with the device. I was like, can you imagine that, like, you're trying to promote your brand new game that you've spent millions of dollars on, and then it's like literally a GPU has some issue, and so the game stutters, and you're like, looks like it runs like crap, canceling my pre-order. Like, can you imagine if that happened? But apparently it does. Stuff like that happens like pretty regularly. You just, yeah, you got to be careful. You got to be cautious, and don't hire IGN to do your gameplay previews. But yeah, the game looks crazy. It looks absolutely insane, but they seem pretty confident in its quality. They just are saying that the logistical stuff for the launch is what needs more time, and that's why they're delaying it by a quarter. I do think it's unfortunate they still don't have a date. I think, you know, people are hoping to get one sooner rather than later, and to still not have it is a little frustrating. But who knows? Maybe they're just going to wait till like Game Awards. Maybe that's when they drop the date, and they just wait to see if there's other games that are going to be launching in that same area so that they can have a week or two to themselves. That could be part of it, why they don't want to announce a release date right now. But yeah, it's been delayed once more. Once more, has been delayed before. I think they've always been very vague with the release windows, so I can never remember if they've actually delayed it or if it's just getting more narrowed down. But yeah, they've now delayed it once more. Previously, it was set for, as you can see in this trailer, it was set for a window of late 2025, and that's all they had said. But now it's actually tied down. These like robot looking things seem so interesting to me. Right here, hold on. These things, I think that's gonna be cool. And then these guys flying around up here, I'm here for it, dude. The cooking mini games, like the game is just ridiculously huge. So you know what? Even if it doesn't need more polish and time that on like in that regard, maybe the delay of an extra 3 months literally just gives them more time to polish it up even more. And it's like, okay, yeah, no, please. It's like the game didn't even really need it. It could have launched and been just fine. But I mean, come on. We're literally flying around on a dragon. This is, I think, what people are expecting for Elder Scrolls 6. It's like, okay, we could do dragon stuff in Skyrim. How do you take that up a notch? Build your own castle and fly a fire-breathing dragon that you attack people with. I was at the Split Fiction event and I overheard that they had issues with Intel CPU PCs even when they were 2 months out from launch. Yeah, well, it's one thing I've noticed. A lot of the people saying that they've been having issues with Mafia the Old Country are running AMD GPUs, which is interesting to me. Because I'm like, yeah, my laptop, of course, the GeForce Now, and my main gaming PC are all NVIDIA. But a lot of the people I've seen that are doing these videos and clips of like their frame dips in the Old Country are running with AMD GPUs. And I'm like, that is kind of interesting because Unreal typically plays pretty well with others, but they do have, like, I'm pretty sure a specific deal with NVIDIA as well. So I don't know. But either way, Crimson Desert delayed once more. but hopefully for the last time, and it'll launch early next year. I'm here for it. The game is really exciting. The fact that I can just casually make a video being like, hey, I tried Crimson Desert early, even though it's a brand new IP from a relatively unknown studio in the West, and that video can pop off and do hundreds of thousands of views. It shows there's a lot of people interested in this. People are really interested in it and want to see more. And I'm one of those people. I want to know more. I want to see more. But it looks like we're going to have to wait till early next year, unfortunately. But don't worry. Don't worry. It'll come before you know it. You have so many games to play between now and the launch of Crimson Desert, dude. You've got Marathon. Plenty. So you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Anyway. Okay, I can close that. I can close that down. Ooh, we have an opportunity to watch an interview with an executive on the news. Ooh. Mix, thank you for that. 10 euros. Oh, babe.
Mix003 donated 10 euros through Super Chat. I hope new, intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, footage is shown at the Game Awards. I would love to see gameplay. What do you think about earlier than that? Must still be a long wait.
Yeah, I think it's very likely that we see something at the Game Awards for Intergalactic. That would be my guess. I think we do, especially because they just announced they're hiring a gameplay capture specialist. So that would give them, if they hire them this month, that gives them like a solid 2.5, 3 months to work on that trailer with whoever is already working there. So I think that that's pretty likely. Launch the store pages with some new gameplay and stuff like that. Beyond that, I still think it's most likely a 2027 game, because I think most people are expecting next year for Sony is going to be the year of the Horizon and Fair Games launches. The Horizon online game and Fair Games. Marathon probably is also next year. And beyond that, we probably also will see Wolverine and the spin-off God of War game that is like a 2.5D platformer. Those are probably those. Saros, I heard rumblings that it might need more time, but I don't know. Like nothing I would ever report on, but just people being like, game's really tough. The game's tough to, they're working their butts off, that kind of thing. But they might like delay that. I don't know. Like, I am not reporting secret information. Don't take this and run with it. All I'm saying is that it's also like a gut check. I also feel like they might need a little bit more. But who knows? You'll get fair game $sign in the meantime. Either way, I'm taking it and running with it officially. Why are most people not expecting Wolverine 2026? I think people might just expect it to need more time. There were discussions, and of course the big leaks were a major component of it, but people I think might assume if it's not been shown that it just might not be ready. So at this point, still having not seen pretty much anything about it, might need more time. Wolverine. Oh, I'm sure Wolverine will be very impressive. It's going to be interesting seeing like Insomniac do something much grittier than they typically have done. But that also is a part of it. Like if they do like a watered down T for teen Wolverine, I don't think that works. Like I think when people hear Wolverine, they want full dismemberment. They want like the insane stuff, gore and viscera. I think that's what you expect when you put blades in and rip someone in half. And if they try to do like a T for teen one, I'm not sure that works.
Sohab Radwin donated $50 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
Upcoming games: 8/28's Metal Gear Solid Delta, Snake Eater, 8/29's Lost Soulicide,
Yes.
9/4 Hell Is Us, 9/5 Chronos, The New Dawn, 9/12.
Oh, I cut it off. Thank you for the 50. That's ridiculously generous. Thank you. Yeah, Metal Gear Solid, Delta, Lost Soul Aside, Hell Is Us, Chronos, Borderlands 4, Silent Hill F, Ghost of Yotei, Ninja Gaiden 4. What are you playing? Most likely, I'm trying to think of all of our timelines. In terms of what will get videos, most likely like Hell Is Us, Ghost of Yotei. I think we'll try Chronos, Borderlands, Silent Hill F, Ninja Gaiden, and Metal Gear Solid Delta. It's specifically scheduling problems because when those would be in their like review period phase, I will almost certainly not be here. I will be traveling. And it's very, very difficult to review games while traveling. So it's just a logistical issue.
Brennan Hales donated $9.99 through Super Chat.
Yeah, a lot.
Why think we'll ever get the Sands of Time remake for this gen?
Oh, for this gen? I do think so. I think there was a report or like a leak or something recently, like in the last few weeks, that it was actually, maybe it wasn't even a leak. It might have been at their earnings call, that Ubisoft one, where they said that it's very close and it's near ready for being shown. They might like shadow drop it or something at the Game Awards or something like that. Who knows? But it could also be just something that they tack on to the showcase next year for Ubisoft Forward. Ubisoft Forward next year, they should have a ton. Like Ubisoft next year, for Ubisoft Forward in June, they should have Assassin's Creed Hexe. The Black Flag remake probably will have already come out, but they might delay it a little bit further and also do like a shadow drop. That would be crazy cool. They probably have Far Cry. They'll have Tom Clancy stuff. They'll have potentially new Division stuff. Like Ubisoft next June should have a ton of stuff to share. Which makes sense because they didn't show anything this year, but they should have a lot next year. Yeah. They should have a lot. You slacking, bro? Why are you traveling during release season? You'll find out. You'll find out. You'll find out. Oh, I ain't slacking. I ain't slacking. Tell you what. I ain't wasting my time. Limit Breakers, thank you for 6 months. Shout out to the Chess Club and all that chat. Praise be to Todd and Luke. Keep ballin', bro. Thanks for the tight content. All hail Fergus. Indeed, all hail Fergus. He watches over us and guards the play button so that we can sleep at night. He does the Lord's work. He does. He truly does. Just like X-Men Origins Wolverine. Yeah, I think if you're going to do Wolverine, especially post-Logan, people are expecting intensity. Like, people expect a lot. So if you come in and you're like, yeah, so there's no blood splatter and there's no dismemberment and stuff, I just think that will disappoint people immediately. Is Jor at Gamescom next week? Probably. I think he mentioned one time on the podcast he was going. I think. I'll have to check with him. But I'd be surprised if he wasn't. I'd be surprised. Okay. Let's see. Really Fat Cat, thank you for that. 4 months. Luke, how was your day? Very good. And I will say, if Crimson Desert is as heavy a game, technically speaking, it is. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough to run. It's going to be a lot. They said Last of Us gameplay. I'm not sure. He's still working on Horizon Online. I've tried to poke and prod. I've tried to be like, hey, you got anything fun and exciting? As far as I know, they've not shared anything with him. Probably because they know he's friends with me. But yeah, I mean, they should, I would think, be doing play tests and stuff relatively soon. We know from the leaks with Fair Game $. Remember the leak said that when Jade Raymond got booted out, it was reportedly because they'd held a play test and it hadn't gone super well, and the reception wasn't great, so she left. I wonder if they've been doing those for the Horizon game too. Like, have they been doing that? Like, have they been letting people play? Have they like invited content creators to play it or something? I don't know. I don't know, dude. But hopefully we hear something soon. Quick Discord help. If you still can't get it to connect, just send me an email with Discord problem or something in the subject line. Luke at 28th Ave, 28thave.com. And send me a screenshot of the connections tab and a screenshot proving you're a member, and I can brute force it. Okay, let's talk about this. News, man. So our man, the myth, the legend, Strauss Zelnick, CEO, executive extraordinaire of Take-Two Interactive, I can talk. He went on CNBC to discuss their earnings call, because Take-Two just had their earnings call and was talking about the stock's performance and everything. And interestingly, no shocker here, he was asked about GTA 6, he was asked about Borderlands, he was asked about all this stuff that they're involved with, and it's interesting. I'll just let this play. Let's check it out.
6 remains on track to be released in May 2026. The stock rebounding today from Friday's losses, now up roughly 20% this year. Joining us now in an exclusive interview is Take-Two Interactive Chairman and CEO Strauss Zelnick. Welcome. Great to have you always.
Great to be here.
So, I mean, things are looking good ahead of this release, it seems, given your report.
Things are looking amazing. We had a great first quarter. It's great to be able to guide up for the year. And what's really exciting is that we're performing across all of our labels.
To be clear, guide up typically refers to increasing guidance. So every year, every quarter, really, these companies will provide guidance on what they expect to make next quarter, 2 quarters from now, a year from now, 2 years from now. And it gives you an idea of what they expect the company to be able to generate in terms of revenue, profits, margins, all of that stuff. And it's always a really good sign when a company guides up or increases their guidance for future quarters, because it shows things are going better than we expected even a year ago, even last quarter, which is always good. And on the flip side, it's always really bad when a company has to revise their guidance, which is something that like Ubisoft, for example, had to do when they delayed AC Shadows. They were like, yep, so we're delaying it, and that means we're not making a bunch of money at the end of this year. So Sowie, and investors reacted poorly. So being able to increase guidance is really nice.
And mobile has had this wonderful story with 2 new big hits. And as you know, the hardest part of our business is to create new mobile hits. So I couldn't be more thrilled with how things are going.
What's driving that?
Just to look at this, Q1 highlights. Total net bookings up 17% since last year. Growth led by several mobile titles. NBA 2K, probably that guy we looked at on stream on Monday who spent $32,000 on it. And the Grand Theft Auto series raised fiscal year 2026 outlook, so they're even more optimistic and bullish than they were previously.
Sort of inflection in mobile.
I think what's driving it is our teams are just doing a wonderful job. So the new hits are coming from our labels, our studios in Turkey, Peak and Rollick. And Peak has launched Match Factory, which is massive, and Rollick's had its biggest hit with Color Block Gem, also massive.
So it just
Color Block Gem. I kind of want to look these up. It was Match Factory and this is it. Match Factory, a major hit with positive advertising. I just want to see the gameplay. Oh, so it's literally, so there's just a bunch of items dropped. You pay 100 coins to keep playing. I can see how like old grannies would spend a crap ton of money on this. Match the items. Okay. Okay. This is triple match. That's Match Factory. So these are different games. They look identical, dude. Okay. I don't understand anymore. Match Factory is this one. This is the one he's talking about. this other one they had pulled up is a separate competitors game that's basically the same thing. Okay, I don't understand, man. I don't get you mobile gamers. I just don't understand it. I don't get it. It doesn't tickle that part of my brain. I see this and I'm like, it looks stupid. But I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Just the innovation cycle, that's what's working right now?
They're just doing a great job creatively, and they also are great marketers, and they run lean operations. Our three-part strategy is be the most creative, be the most innovative, be the most efficient, and they stand for that.
Is the growth coming from people upgrading, or are you bringing in new gamers?
Oh, these are new customers to both of these games, absolutely.
What does that kind of runway look like?
What is the runway? How high is up?
What's the addressable market here?
The addressable market's huge. I mean, you can easily have a mobile title that does $1 billion a year in revenue. We don't have a title like that. Our titles are somewhat smaller, but we have a lot of them. I think we can say that we have the best collection of owned intellectual property across mobile and console and PC in the business.
Would I agree with that? Do they have the best value IP? I mean, mobile-wise, they aren't quite as big as, like, Candy Crush, like he said, but they have a lot of different smaller IP. Because you got to remember all of those Take-Two and, like, 2K properties. I'm pretty sure they have the exclusive rights to all the wrestling stuff. So I think they, like, all those WWE wrestling, like, mobile games, they are printing all the money from there. Yeah, 2K. Yeah, so all of DSP's money is going to Strauss. So he's getting all that money. So they have a lot of those IP. They have, of course, the sports like NBA. They have GTA, Red Dead. Like, those are big console hits as well. But even, like, not looking at those specifically from Rockstar, they have like Borderlands now, and Borderlands, whether you like it or not, is huge. It's gigantic. Mafia, which I like dearly. They've got a lot of huge stuff. The thing is, on mobile, they have a lot of smaller stuff. On console, they have a few massive IP. So he might not be wrong there, honestly. But the point is, it's arguable. Exactly, Gilgamesh. Exactly, it's arguable, which can't say for a lot of companies.
Being driven by macro at all? I mean, consumer, household, discretionary income, name it, job opportunities, things like that?
Well, as you know, we're sort of in soft landing mode. And so in a terrible recessionary environment, entertainment businesses get hurt as well. We wish we could say we're counter-cyclical or even resistant. We're really not. However, when household spending becomes a little tighter, as you can imagine, people are more careful. And in the entertainment business, the form that takes is going to quality. So,
absolutely. It's why the best and the safest way to avoid being cast aside when money gets tight is to have just the best game. Because, yeah, there's going to be people who are like, I can't spend $70 or $80 on a brand new game. Unless it's for Red Dead Redemption 3. Unless it's for Grand Theft Auto 6. Then I could figure out a way to pay for it. I'll skip those other games because I know this one's going to be so good. And so he's absolutely right.
So, a kind of want to have becomes I don't care. A must have is still a must have. And our job is to make the best entertainment on earth. That's what we try to do every day. We only try to make the biggest hits. We don't always succeed. However, when we do succeed, even in tougher times, people will show up.
And in an era where everyone talks about AI's impact on coding, right, and engineering.
Yeah, look at that. So, I forgot about even BioShock. They own BioShock. Bully, of course. It's funny that they put Bully on there. LA Noire, because a lot of these are dormant. So, Midnight Club. Civ just got a new one, of course. Carnival Games. Like, some of these are dormant, like Bully. BioShock, of course, hasn't had an entry in over a decade. LA Noire going on 15 years since an entry. But still, the stuff they have is massive. Like, if they announced officially BioShock 4, I think that pops off and is huge. A new Bully would explode. A new LA Noire would explode. Mafia seemingly has done pretty well as well, which is great.
Talk about that trajectory right now, how it affects your ability to write.
So we haven't had enormous efficiencies yet. I do believe we will over time. Our head of IT is reviewing about 200 different pieces of software at any given time. And, as you know, all investment on Earth has sort of been magnetically drawn to all things AI. So I think we'll create a lot of efficiencies. I'm concerned, though, that we'll probably offset that with our spending to make things bigger and better. And so I've taken the position that I don't want people to expect that suddenly our production costs are going to dive. What isn't going to change is it's still going to be really hard to make a hit.
This is quite refreshing. Again, this is why I like watching videos with Strauss, because like he is an executive. He is, the man in the tower, certainly. But he does seem to just have an understanding of the industry, which is refreshing. And he doesn't just chase the hype jargon for the sake of chasing it. Like, one of my frustrations with Ubisoft, for example, is that they seem to just drift from whatever the trend is at the moment to the next trend to the next trend. NFTs. People are talking about how NFTs are going to make a lot of money. And so what do? They put tens upon tens of millions of dollars into NFT projects, and it goes nowhere. They still, like, Ubisoft Quartz is still a thing. Ubisoft Quartz. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. It's still a thing. Ubisoft Quartz. This is their NFT platform. I don't think they've even updated the website, copyright 2021. But that's how, just when they thought that this was going to potentially make them a lot of money, they poured tens upon tens upon tens of millions of dollars into it, if not hundreds of millions. And it ended up being just a total waste. They're still putting out NFT video games, like on the mobile market and everything. It's ridiculous. It's unbelievable. But they just chase the trend, and with Strauss and Take-Two, one of the frustrations from investors has been that they've not jumped on this AI hype train. A lot of other executives, like you listen to Andrew Wilson, the CEO of EA, he talks pretty openly about how, generative AI is going to speed up our production cycles. It's going to make games way cheaper to make, because his vision is to basically have AI, like image generators, generating the concept art. So don't need concept artists anymore. If you can do AI generated like 3D models and stuff from that AI generated art, we don't need a modeling team. So we can get rid of all those contractors we hired to do it. If we can get it so these AI tools can create levels for us, at least rough levels we can work with, we can get rid of our junior level designers and we can get rid of those guys. They just had it with Microsoft with King, because they had a bunch of employees at King who were working on Candy Crush, making new levels for matching gems and stuff. And they were working on a tool that would use AI to generate levels for dynamically matching gems and everything. And after they finished building the tool, they got laid off, and the tool is now doing their jobs for them. Like, this is the craze right now on Wall Street, is that AI can just make things way cheaper and maintain quality in theory. That's their hope. I'm not saying it does maintain quality. I'm saying that's the hope, is that, we can just have a robot do the exact same job, but for way, way less money. That's awesome. Take my money, company. That's why investors like it so much. With Strauss, though, Strauss is saying, even if we get increased efficiency from AI, we're probably just going to increase our spend elsewhere and be like, hey, we wanted to spend, $100 million on this game. AI stuff has made it so now we could make that game we had in our head for 80 million or 70 million. But now we can make a $130 million game or a $150 million game for the effective cost of 100 million. So let's just do that. And so he's saying that even with those savings, don't expect like development costs to nosedive, because we want to keep doing better and better stuff. We want to increase the quality. If we get efficiency gains from AI tools, we want to be able to funnel that back into it with money spent on making the games even bigger and better than our competition elsewhere, in other ways as well. He's also, this is the same guy that did that interview 6 months ago, probably, and he was asked about AI stuff. And again, right now, every executive in a tech sector position If you're asked about AI, you tell the press, oh, we're doubling down on it. All of our money's going into it. That's what you do if you want your stock price to go up. What does he do? He says, no, AI will never make great games because AI tools, by their very nature, are derivative. Like, they are trained on data and then they produce things based on what they've seen and been exposed to. It doesn't create, it derives. And that can be useful in some things. Like if it's trained on how to format an MLA structured paper, it can do that very efficiently. It can do that very quickly, and it's very good at that. But if you're asking it to write like a really compelling story or tale with compelling characters and stuff, it's just going to be trying to pick pieces that it's been exposed to from all over the place, which I know some people would say that's how people write too. I get it. I see the argument. But the point is, he's saying it's all derivative. It's not going to fundamentally, in terms of software, generate something totally wild and new. You still need game developers. You still need to create stuff. And so it's been really interesting hearing him talk about this as the AI stuff has been ballooning and ballooning and ballooning, because he is not just hopping on the bandwagon because it's what's easy right now. He's willing to still, maybe take a different position, and that's just refreshing.
It's not going to make it easier to make a hit.
Let's talk. Speaking of Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, and it's not going to make it easier to make a hit. Some people have said, like you hear Elon Musk say, oh, we'll just have Grok make a video game. You just put in the prompts basically, and Grok will generate Grand Theft Auto 7. And Strauss's position has been, it's never going to happen. That's not how that works. It just isn't. So no. Like if you want Grok to maybe work on some code that you put into the game, okay, that's one thing. But I don't think there will ever be like this AI that can make something on the level of like a GTA 6 that is anywhere close to what you would think.
6. There's so much anticipation for this. I wonder how much actually the stock move is about this, and just how much of your conversations with investors are dominated by this anticipation of this release.
Well, look, right now we have the ability to talk about performance across all of our labels right this very minute in this incredible release schedule ahead of Grand Theft Auto 6. So, for example, our 2K label is just booming. NBA 2K25 is up materially year over year. It's sold in 11.5 million units. Recurrent consumer spending is up 48% year over year. Our WWE series, thanks to our friends at TKO, is just doing great. We just released Mafia the Old Country, which is looking really, really good. And we have Borderlands 4 coming. And
he's saying it's looking really, really good. But I had somebody in chat say it flopped. That guy wouldn't lie. He wouldn't just say something. I don't know. It's so weird to me. There's people who get a hard on for games flopping. Some games deserve to flop, okay? Maybe this is controversial. Some games deserve to flop, okay? And I will be the first, as you guys know all too well, to call it out. Like, Mind's Eye. Game kind of deserved to flop, okay? It was like a ridiculous marketing cycle, and it looked pretty bad, and then we got it, and it was horribly broken, super buggy. It was just a disaster from start to finish, and so it kind of deserved the reception it got. It wasn't like one of these underrated hits, Some games don't deserve to flop. Guardians of the Galaxy, fantastic game. And that thing, by most metrics, at least in the first quarter that was out, it flopped. It looks like it ended up making back a good amount of money on the tail as they put it on sale and stuff, and word of mouth carried it. But Guardians of the Galaxy did not deserve to do as badly as it did. That should not have flopped. But some games do deserve it. And we'll call them out when they do. Like Gollum, deserve to flop. But this hard on for anything and everything flopping and be like, yeah, screw them. It's just so cringy to me. I'm like, we're gamers. We should want more good games, We should want more good games and games that people can enjoy. We shouldn't be rooting for stuff to fail unless it deserves it. But you got to be able to make that case for why it deserves to fail. And unless, typically if a game deserves to flop, there is no disagreement. It's like everybody agrees, yeah, fair. Totally makes sense. But anyway. Anyway.
And the new iteration of NBA 2K coming. So we have that from 2K. Of course, as you mentioned, everything related to GTA is meaningfully up year over year. So of course there's anticipation, and our mobile business is booming. Our job is to deliver across the entire company. So I actually think the conversation right now and the stock movement now is a reflection of our underlying economics, which is the entire business. I don't think it's just based on like what is to come in the future.
Although there is a lot of talk about that.
There is, and I'm happy there is. I mean, we had 475 million views in 24 hours for trailer 2.
475 million views. I think that's across multiple.
Jimbo404 donated $10 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
Too many people thrive on others failing because they find themselves inadequate, so they want everyone else to be as well.
Psychoanalysis. Perhaps. I think there certainly are people like that out there. I think as Malcolm brings up, it's not hoping that it flops, it's wanting better from the companies. And I think that's where like the lines get blurred, right? Because I think everybody who's like, oh, I want Mafia to flop, I think all those people would probably say, no, we just want better games. I want to be able to swim, you know? And it's like, okay. But I think that there's perhaps with some of that, it can be, I don't know if misguided is the right word, but, complaining that like Mafia should do poorly because it doesn't have swimming or because it doesn't have more in-depth like character customization or the combat's not better or the stealth's not better. It's like, I don't know. I think there's gradients to this. Like there's levels of what you'd expect. Like, they priced it at 50. If it was priced at 70, I'd be right there with you that for 70, I love the story of Mafia the Old Country, but for 70, that would be steep. For 50, it's technically considered a budget priced title. Like, honestly, I think the offering is fair. You know, I think you just have to be able to have the discussion. And the people that are taking a nuanced position and are being like, no, we just want more. And, you know, if there's games that could do better, we're going to call that out and hope it does better. Then we can do that. Like, I don't think, for example, I don't think like Starfield deserved to flop. I don't think it was on that level. I think it was mediocre. I don't think it was that great, but I don't think that like mediocre or kind of lame games deserve catastrophic failure. And maybe that's why like we have to be more precise with what we mean by flop, because I think some people throw around the term more casually than it would usually dictate. I do. Yeah, that might surprise people that I'm like, I don't think Starfield deserved a flop. No. And I don't think it did flop, to be very clear. I think Starfield, the DLC, that's what a flop looks like. But the game itself seemingly did quite well because a lot of people were very, very hyped despite my best efforts and bought it at full price and even bought the premium whatever for early access. And, that's what happens. They got me, says Ham. They got me.
Setting a new record, breaking the internet, these are good things.
And it was delayed, and so now May 26, 2026.
Yes, got that right.
Level of conviction there? Or is that...
My level of conviction is very, very high, obviously.
So that's going to happen. How much of the Rockstar team is working on this?
Well, Rockstar does have a lot of other things going on, but this is, of course, the primary focus.
Do you worry about great expectations?
That is such a great question. Look, we try not to pump expectations, right? I think Rockstar's whole stock and trade is to have these extraordinary expectations and still to beat them. I know that's their goal. I know it's going to be an amazing game. The rest we'll see in the fullness of time.
The company's saying...
I mean, again, it's refreshing to hear him be like, yeah, we're not going to try to hype it up. A lot of other companies, their entire goal is to hype things up. And they're like, yeah, we're going to tell you things, even if it's a kind of half-truths here and there. We're going to tell you things to get you hyped up so that you pre-order the game and buy it. For them, they're like, no, we're just going to put out a trailer that shows you the game. And the trailer itself is going to be so ridiculously impressive. People will be arguing over whether it's real or not. And we're just going to do that. Easy clap. Luke, you're telling me you couldn't get this guy for an interview? I bet you could. It's not impossible. The thing is, Take-Two is like, I don't think he's ever done an interview like that, with like a non-big outlet. It's not impossible. It's not impossible, but it's a long shot. Oh, it's a long shot. I think, you know, you can send emails, you can do that type of thing, but typically to get, like, if you send an email to one of their PR people and you're like, hey, I'd like to do an interview with your CEO, that won't even get forwarded to the right person unless you already have a connection higher up, and you'd be like, hey, Jessica told me to reach out to you about doing an interview with Strauss. Then like, oh, Jessica said that? Okay. It's why going to these events is like kind of important. It's why going to a Summer Games Fest or going to this or that place can be really helpful, because you can shake hands with the person, lay that groundwork, plant the seed, and then maybe return to it later. Because I do think an interview with him would be interesting. But you also have to remember that for these guys, like, he's in charge of a multi-billion-dollar company. And if he says something the wrong way, the stock price could plummet, losing people billions of dollars. So they tend to be way more cautious than they need to. Todd? No, Todd, he's a part, like, he runs a subsidiary company owned by a big corporation. If Todd says something stupid and he's like, I actually hate gamers, they all suck and can kiss my ass. If he says something like that, I don't think Microsoft's stock moves an iota. I don't think it matters. Like, yeah, we'll joke about it, we'll meme about it, and it'll be funny, but I don't think that moves the needle at all. Randy will do something insane. He'll take another trip to medieval times. I still think, like, Take-Two stock's not moving because of that. But if the CEO, as we saw with, like, Yves Guillemot will casually say something on an earnings call, and it's memed on for years, and it's referenced constantly. Like, when you're the CEO, it's not as simple as just like, go chat with somebody. It's much higher stakes. Much higher stakes. Spec Ops, just from the interview, I appreciate he doesn't come off as slimy or out of touch with things. Yeah, well, and what I respect is that it's not just, he doesn't always tell, like, the person that's interviewing him exactly what, like, he knows investors want to hear. Like, if investors want AI all the time with everything, like, he knows that. He's not stupid. He knows that's what they want, but he's not going to say that because that's not what they're doing. And he doesn't think that that's magically going to fix anything, like everything. He doesn't think that's magically going to change the development process or make games free, basically, to make. Like, it's like, no. So I'm not going to say that. And I can respect that, because a lot of other executives are just saying exactly what they're supposed to. You know, exactly what they're supposed to. We have a couple more things to go through. I wanted to kind of look at this. Real quick question. How many of you guys, did any of you guys play Splitgate? Did any of you guys do that? No. Also, since we started the stream, we've had another 1,100 entries. Jeez. For all his grades, Strauss is one of the last gaming CEOs that understands the market, and trend chasing is stupid. He doesn't even like VR. Well, and how many companies have thrown hundreds of millions of dollars into VR, and it's gone absolutely nowhere? Ami, by the way, thank you for the sub. Thank you over on Twitch. Thank you. Splitgate's good. Nope, nah. Well, you guys saw at Summer Games Fest the event with the hat, right? That caused a whole ruckus. Oh, Rocky. Well, I want to look at this. Because this whole thing, it just interests me. Okay. News Emma. Okay, so we've all seen the snippets and the clips from the game, or well, not the Game Awards, from Summer Games Fest, where we had a gentleman go up on stage and he was wearing a hat that just said "Make FPS Great Again." But it wasn't the hat; it's just what's memorable. Who cares about a hat? But it was specifically how this guy, the head of the company, tried to frame himself as the savior of first-person shooter games, and then proceeded to fall victim to every pitfall in the book, and kind of ran his game into the ground. So much so that it was unlaunched, which I didn't realize you could do. But they launched the game and then unlaunched it, and now it's back in beta. Who knew that was a thing? So we're going to look at this video from the one and only Kyra, and see what this whole thing has to say. Okay, we're gonna check it out. But first, thank you to Spec Ops. Gee whiz, my friend. 10 gifted memberships on YouTube. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Thank you, Spec Ops. Thank you. That's very, very generous. And absolutely, thank you for doing that. Everybody who just got gifted a membership, get your booty in the Discord. Get your booty in the Discord. Do it to it, okay? Do it to it. Lee just joined the stream. I'm at work. I do IT work. I'm fixing a printer that's not working. Yeah, because there's no paper, douche. Dude, I've heard stories. My brother works in IT for like a city, doing city IT work. And so he's working with like government employees, and he'll tell me stories sometimes. I'm like, I don't know how you do it, man. I couldn't do it. Some of the stupid stuff. Like he's working with people that are like working serious jobs, and they have a Post-it note with their password on their screen, so they remember how to log into their computer. And then they will literally like email somebody and be like, yeah, can you send this email while I'm on vacation? Here's my login and password. I'll just email it to somebody. Like, unbelievable stuff. You're doing the Lord's work, but I don't know if I can do it. Thank you again, Spec Ops. That's ridiculously generous. And you humble me, my friend. Thank you. Let's see. Bring it on, Kira. Let's see what we got.
So what up, friendos? It's 2025, and it can be hard for video games to stand out. We are truly living in an unprecedented time of video game saturation. There are more games than ever to play. There are more games that are coming out every single day. The indie game market is flourishing, with gems dropping seemingly out of nowhere. AA studios you've never heard of are releasing Game of the Year quality products. And love it or hate it, the AAA, or as Ubisoft calls it, the quadruple A industry.
Which, again, is just my funny tidbit, is I found out from somebody that this was not even on the script. So, like, Yves Guillemot is speaking at this event at the earnings call, and this is all written down on a piece of paper in front of him, as everything in these earnings calls is, because if you say one thing wrong, it's memed on for years and your stock price can plummet. He says, you will see that Skull and Bones is a full-fledged game. It's a very big game, and we feel that people will really see how vast and complete that game is. And then he set the paper down. So it's really a full, triple, quadruple A games that will deliver in the long run. That quadruple A thing he ad-libbed. He was not supposed to say that. And years later, we still make fun of him for it. It's ridiculous. But it's one of my funnest little anecdotes of just, don't ad-lib. Sometimes it's not worth it. It's not worth it. If it wasn't written down, it probably wasn't worth saying it.
Releases bigger games at a frequency that is simply impossible to keep up with. So with this being the case, how could a small company break through the noise? How could they get themselves center stage in the social media discussion and carve out a market for themselves, seemingly out of nowhere? The simple answer is just make a good game, right? Make a game people care about.
You sound insane right now. What are you talking about? No. Unfortunately, though, to be more serious, it is not as simple as just making a good game. It's actually like a good amount of making a good game, and then also like a pretty large amount of luck is part of it too. Unfortunately, that's a big component of it.
Game
like FNAF, Five Nights at Freddy's. Who knew that was going to blow up? Scott Cawthon was about to give up game development and move on in his life, and that was like the last thing he made. And then it got picked up by some YouTubers doing this brand new thing called Let's Plays, and it exploded and turned into a massive thing. Now it's got movies and everything, books and games and merch, and it's ridiculous. But I don't think he had any idea. It wasn't just because the game was pretty good. It was also a good amount of luck, you know?
It will then market itself. We see this almost weekly. New game releases on Steam, people play it, word spreads, big YouTuber picks it up, some streamers play it, and before you know it, millions of copies sold, viral success. All you need at the start is a great game. But if you're the CEO of 1047 Games, you could instead go a different route. You could pay about $500,000 to get on stage at the Summer Games Fest, look directly into the camera, start squeezing, and shit your pants while maintaining eye contact with the entire audience. 1047 Games took the beginnings of a potential success story of a plucky underdog game studio with the reception of their game Splitgate in the Titan-dominated genre of FPS, and they decided instead of building on the limited success of the sequel, they were going to fuck up their reputation as quickly as possible. Basically speedrunning their game into irrelevance and securing themselves a spot in the video game industry fuck around and find out Hall of Fame. But how did we get here? 1047 Games.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll get to it. I think it's a prime example of not knowing your place within the industry. If you're really good at making smaller indie games or like smaller FPS games like this that are more experimental, appeal to a niche audience, that is, to find success in that is an amazing accomplishment. That's awesome. That does not mean that you can now compete with Call of Duty, okay? It just doesn't. But I think these guys started to believe their own hype. They liked the smell of their own crap, and then they started to believe that they could come in with like $100 skins and stuff. And if they just marketed it as we're the underdogs, support us, nobody would notice. We'll get to it. My frustration with the Splitgate stuff is that it kind of was built on an assumption that gamers were too stupid to realize what was going on. And that's something that drives me crazy, is when a product is put out or a company treats gamers like we're dumb and have like contempt for us. Or like, no, it's about this, stupid boy. Like it's like the fair game $ thing where it's like, oh no, eat the rich. It's like, but this is for like a $50 to $70 multiplayer game coming from a multi-billion-dollar multinational corporation. What do you mean eat the rich? No, eat the rich. It's just so stupid to me, you know?
Started as a university project by Nicholas and Ian, who you will be seeing much more of in this video. The pair shared a love of FPS games and decided that they were going to make FPS games great again. Using an initial inspiration of the Portal games, they put together a beta that incorporated the Portal mechanic into the first-person shooter genre and released it to the public. Immediately, they saw success, with over 500,000 downloads, indicating they were onto something that could be much bigger than just a simple university passion project. On May 24th, 2019, the game was officially released as an early access title on Steam, attracting a modest but respectable initial wave of almost 12,000 concurrent players. The reviews were mostly positive, people were enjoying the game, and the complaints seemed relatively easy to fix. For these reasons, investors had confidence in 1047's vision, and the studio managed to raise a reported $10 million across the next 2 years. This cash injection allowed for 1047 to scale up their operation, but of course within those 2 years of development, the game had dropped to a relatively tiny population. Fortunately, the game then exploded with an update release in July of 2021. From a max daily population of under 1,000 on Steam to a new peak of 67,000, just completely out of nowhere. This game was an overnight success. It was all over social media. The biggest FPS content creators and streamers were playing the game. People were truly hyped for what they found to be a fun, refreshing, and exciting experience.
I remember seeing random videos, like even reactionary videos doing reaction content, and they had Splitgate gameplay in the background, and you know, it really did pierce that mainstream veil for like a week and a half. But it's because like everybody started talking about it. You have a few clips go viral and people play it. The thing is, like, any type of game that's built on a gimmick will have a limited lifespan. Maybe this is like, maybe that's like really, really obvious. But I just think if your game is built on something like the Portals, it's fun for a weekend, but eventually for the vast majority of people, they're going to be like kind of tired and they're going to move on to something else. You have to have a lot more going on than just a really solid gimmick or an interesting gimmick that shakes it up. Because ultimately, like, I remember hearing Splitgate described as, well, it's like sort of like Halo meets Arena meets Portal. It's like, okay, well, we're not describing it as its own thing. It's a combination of other things, you know? It's not like when people talk about Concord, they're like, yeah, it's like an Overwatch clone, but worse. And that's all people are saying. You don't want to be, it's like X. You want to be the X. You know, you want to be the thing. You want to be the thing people are comparing it to and have your own unique ideas that really, really set it apart. And I do think that the Splitgate idea and concept is really trippy and cool and crazy, but I think demonstrably it wasn't quite enough to carry the game in perpetuity, you know?
This, of course, didn't last long. The population halved the next month to 34k and was down to under 10k the month later, and just continued to slip from there until the game eventually settled back where it was in the beginning, under 1,000 concurrent players in January of 2023. So despite this initial success, why did the game overall fail over time, especially when this game was designed to be, like the Call of Duties, like the Halo, something that people play for years and years to come? Well, basically, there's no real smoking gun. It isn't like they did something crazy, at least not yet. From my own observations and
that's called foreshadowing.
looking through reviews as well as playing the game, it was just kind of a flash in the pan. It was a game that the developers didn't expect it to be as successful as it was. They wasn't prepared, and the game simply didn't have enough stuff in it to maintain that level of interest. They didn't have the server infrastructure to support the player base, which caused issues with matchmaking, lag, and queues. And then after this settled down, they struggled to keep up with the required content for a game that was live service. Then they filled up the game with bots without telling people that they were bots, making the game feel like a cheap experience when they discovered it. And most importantly, the game just wasn't that great. You know, it was relying heavily on a gimmick that once wore thin, revealed that the game underneath didn't have the legs to carry it further. That same gimmick also resulted in casual players being forced out of the game very quickly, never to return.
Yeah, and that's kind of what happened with me. I still look at Splitgate gameplay and it gives me a headache. I understand why some people could get really, really good at it and have a lot of fun with the setups and open this portal there, do that to there. I can shoot out there, pull them through here, and then I bounce out there. I can understand why some people eat it up, but for me, it's like when I get home from, you know, doing a bunch of stuff, out and about, running errands, or, you know, hanging out with the kids, or when, maybe not me, I live a very cushy life, if you can't tell, as I sit here at 1:30 in the afternoon on a Wednesday talking about video games. Maybe, you know, the guy that's working an actual job that has, like, you know, he's been working in the oil fields, working his ass off to provide for his family. And he gets home from a long day at work and he comes down, sits down. I'm not sure if he's like, okay, let's play Splitgate. I gotta really think this through. Like, some people just want to veg out, you know? They just want to veg out. It's a sweaty game, man. It's already hot outside. That's a good way of saying it, Anthony. Yeah, it's a sweaty game. Some people love it for that, but it automatically will start to filter out the more casual gamers who just want something to play with their friends after a long day. You know, it's the appeal of games like Marvel Rivals or Overwatch, where they have a ranked mode for the hardcore guys, and then they have a casual quick queue or custom games and stuff to keep the casual players engaged. And that's why those games have millions of players, because they can appeal to both at the same time. Splitgate never really figured that out.
You can think of this basically like Fortnite building mode in the Battle Royale originally. At the start of the game, at the start of Fortnite, the building was this fun little thing you did to give yourself a bit of cover in the middle of a fight, you know, revive your teammate, build a bridge, whatever it's going to be. But after 6 months, the turbo sweats had taken over. The people who were playing very seriously every day, practicing how to build, and then they could throw together an Eiffel Tower mid-fight in 0.6 seconds, and if you couldn't do that, you were just a bot for them to farm. The skill ceiling moved drastically by this one gimmicky mechanic that didn't translate over into other games, and it wasn't something that common sense made you better at from playing a different FPS or whatever it was going to.
I do love seeing these like OG trailers for for Fortnite, because initially, you know, it's so like, literally look at this. They build a wall and then like toss a grenade over the wall. And that was like the extent of what was expected from the build mode. And then you saw what some of these competitive guys were able to do and kids were able to do later. And it just was ridiculous. It was mind melting. But it's why it's also funny that Fortnite saw like the biggest spike out of nowhere in players that they had seen in a long time, specifically when they brought a no build mode, because players like me, I never wanted to play any Fortnite. When my little brother would ask, I'd be like, oh yeah, we could do that, or we could play this other game, because I'm like, I just don't want to do the sweaty thing of trying to figure out how to build quickly, and then 9-year-old gets in the lobby and they just frantically, like he said, build an Eiffel Tower in 6 seconds. But the no build mode, it becomes then purely about positioning and gunplay and movement and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I can get behind that. I can get behind that, where it's not just about muscle memory of frantically building stuff. It's about game knowledge and tactical play and stuff. And I like that much more. So yeah, it's finding ways to appeal to a broader audience is key if you want to be successful in the live service space, for sure. Whoops, I'm muted. Sorry.
Whatever it was going to be, a different battle royale game. This was a specific mechanic to the game that had an incredibly high skill ceiling. And that was basically Portals in Splitgate. It was the killer of the casual player. Despite the game falling off incredibly quickly, 1047 decided that the logical course was to make a sequel, Splitgate 2. And this is fair enough, right? I mean, they probably made good money with the first game. They had investors, they had people interested. They knew they could get a player base. They just needed to refine what they had. Better game mechanics, more focus on not the portals, you know, have the portals there, maybe make them a little bit more restrictive, do something more with the base game, and just add on more content that focuses on casually approachable gamers. They could capture a large audience with this because this was lessons they could learn. After all, they had the social cachet, they had fond memories from big content creators, and they had millions of downloads of the first game. There wasn't really anything stopping them, except for this guy.
Hey guys,
It does just give the vibe of like, no, trust me, dude. They're going to love this. They're going to love it. Again, like the whole premise of this was I'm going to show up wearing a t-shirt and sweatpants, and I'm going to be wearing my Make FPS Great Again hat. And we're going to frame this as the launch of our sequel of the little guy that's doing everything great that the big guys like Call of Duty just can't figure out. But again, it's assuming you're too stupid to realize that, for one, they paid $500,000 to get on stage, maybe $250,000. I don't remember. They had a long time slot, so it was probably pretty significant, but paid hundreds of thousands of dollars at the very least to get on stage. This guy is a multimillionaire, probably, if he's getting, you know, he owns the company that received $10 million in venture funding and stuff. And you'll see, I'm sure he's going to discuss the monetization strategies and stuff that they did that was just so hilariously out of touch with what his overall message was. You know, it doesn't take two brain cells to figure out why this is cringe as hell. You know, you can figure it out pretty quickly. But I think the whole thing was built on the premise that players wouldn't connect the dots there. And that was just, it was a miscalculation. Miscalculation.
I'm Ian Prue, the co-founder of 1047 Games. And I'm tired of playing the same Call of Duty every year. And I wish we could have Titanfall 3. Splitgate Battle Royale launches free right now, and it's fucking awesome.
He said the F word. That means he's cool.
Ian, the CEO of 1047, couldn't really have fucked up the game's reputation quicker if he'd actually made it his goal to try. The Summer Game Fest is one of the largest platforms to show your game to the world, with a 1-minute trailer costing $250,000. Ian was on the stage for 2.5 minutes, which according to the 2024 pricing, which could be lower, although I'd guess it would be higher, is around $550,000, over $500,000.
Yeah, here's a breakdown. 1 minute, 250,000. 1.5, 350,000. 2 minutes, 450,000. 2.5 minutes, 550,000. While these prices are significant, some quote-unquote free slots are reportedly reserved for smaller non-AAA games, according to Kotaku. These slots are part of the earned editorial placements and are likely given to games with higher potential for coverage, or those from larger studios. I mean, yeah, like I think if, for example, Neil Druckmann calls and it's like, hey, we'd like to showcase The Last of Us Part 3, I don't think they're going to charge him, you know? I don't think they'll charge him. I think they'll be like, please, we'll pay you, you know? I doubt that they would charge him. On the flip side, like there might be smaller games, like for example, Felt That Boxing, if you remember that. I don't know if they had to pay, because that was one, I think the giveaway is if Jeff says, I've been following this for a long time and I played it myself months ago or a year ago. I think if he says something like that and he has a connection to it, I don't think he's charging them for it. I don't have any secret knowledge of that or any leaked information, but I have a feeling they probably weren't charged because it was like something Jeff just wanted to showcase that he really liked the look of.
Fuzzy shit, show me what you got. What? If you're gonna be champ,
I forgot how much I love this.
Why are you even here? Don't waste my time.
Save us, Fuzzy, or we'll die.
I forgot how much I love this. So maybe they did have to pay for their trailer slot, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they got it for free. Whereas Splitgate, I mean, it's a live service game. I'm guessing they probably had to pay. I would be genuinely surprised if they gave them their slot for free.
1 minute of this presentation, $50,000, over $500,000. Ian used 1 minute of this presentation standing there in a Make FPS Games Great Again hat, holding a cartoon baseball bat, talking shit about some of the most beloved games in the FPS genre, which is certainly a tactic. I suppose if you've got nothing going for yourself as a selling point, trying to diminish what people would objectively call your betters, the more successful products than yours, is definitely one way to go about things. The next minute and a half of the presentation is announcing Splitgate 2 as a battle royale, accompanied by an Imagine Dragons song, which is hilarious as a contrast when you're talking about, we're not like your ex-girlfriend, you know, we're not like Call of Duty and Halo, we're better than they are. By the way, here's a battle royale and the most mainstream popular pop rock song you can possibly imagine. It was essentially the worst PR damage you could do to your game in the shortest period of time, while also paying $500,000 to do it. The guy...
And, I mean, just to go back to the hat, I don't want to get political or anything, but I think obviously Make FPS Great Again hat invokes thoughts of a political nature because it's been popularized, especially in that format and style, by a U.S. political candidate and now president. And so automatically half of your player base, like half of your potential customers probably are like, hey, that's pretty cool. The other half are like, oh, so he's one of those guys. And now they don't want to support you. Like, it is literally polarizing instantaneously. And I don't understand why you would do that. Like, even if you're the most hardcore MAGA guy, even if you're the most hardcore, I don't remember what Kamala's campaign slogan was, whichever side you're on, I just think it's a bad idea. It's just, why polarize and split your customers in half if you don't have to? You know, it just is dumb. It's dumb.
I essentially paid $500,000 for people to laugh at him online. And if this was some kind of facilitation of a humiliation kink, it would make much more sense than what it is. But
can you imagine? They're like, this is a bad idea. Don't go out there. Everyone's going to make fun of you. Really? You really think so? Yeah, it's going to be terrible. Everyone's going to laugh at you. Everyone's going to make fun of you. It's going to destroy our company. Everyone's going to call you stupid and terrible. Oh. that would make sense.
But in Ian's words, this was the best they could come up with to try and make themselves stand out from the crowd. Which, congratulations, you certainly did that, just probably not in the way you intended.
It is really freaking hard as an independent studio to break through the noise. You go to these award shows. We saw it at TGA's. We had this great trailer, and there's 50 other great trailers, and didn't really have an impact. And so at our biggest stage, coming out of beta, we needed something to grab attention. And the honest truth is, we tried to think of something, and this is what we came up with.
At this point, it would be very easily solved with an apology. It would solve most of the PR issues.
He also keeps saying this is what we came up with, like not taking accountability. It's we did it. Us. Not me. Us. Joel, thank you for that. I've been playing Mafia the Old Country, and I'm loving it a lot so far. The story is great. Do you think there's a chance, I'm assuming it's a chance, they will make another Mafia if this one does well enough? I really hope so. Yes, I do think so. I do think so. I hope they get greenlit for like a big one. We'll talk about it in like the critique that I want to do. There are plenty of opportunities for where they could go with the sequel. I don't want to discuss spoilers or the ending of the game, obviously, but there's plenty of ways that they could go, either for a direct sequel of The Old Country. I know people have been speculating that it could be really cool to do a Mafia game set in like the 1970s, maybe in Vegas or Miami or something. That's been something the Mafia community's talked about for a long time. But I'm not sure where they would go. Either way, I think if this does well, they'll get greenlit for another one. And as we saw in that interview just earlier in the stream, Strauss Zelnick, head of 2K, he said that it's doing really, really well. That's what he said. Which, he's beholden to investors. If it's actually going poorly, he could get in big, big trouble for saying it's going really, really well. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But yeah, I think it's going well enough that they should get another opportunity, would be my guess. Thank you for the super chat. Continuing.
But if that happened, this video would not exist. This could have been an easy fix, something along the lines of, my bad guys, I have a lot of respect for Halo, Call of Duty, and the other games that I shit-talked. It was just a marketing tactic. They are titans in the industry. They've paved the way. We would be lucky to ever be mentioned in the same conversation as them. They're great developers working on this, and it was in poor taste. And the hat was just a meme, and I fucked up. It is what it is. But instead, he didn't do that, because at the same time, people were discovering the game also had a massive monetization problem. The game had gone live almost immediately, and in the store was an $80 microtransaction. Let's remember what the word micro means here. A microtransaction worth $80 for some cosmetics.
And I wonder if he's going to touch on this.
Obviously, this is not good, and Ian could again have just addressed this in an apology and said, my bad.
Oh, but okay. I just want to circle back to this, because this was a part of it too. It's for one, egregiously priced at $80 for a bunch of cosmetics, but it also was priced at like $145. And then they did an instant discount, even though it had just launched that day. They discounted it by like 45% to make it 80. So it was actually $145. Like, no, you're getting a deal. It's only 80. And this is the guy that's saying make FPS great again. He's saying return to the great days of like Halo ODST, or return to the great days of LAN parties and stuff. Is this anything like that? Like, are you telling me this is more of the same crap? Like, you're not fooling anyone. It's a fake discount tactic, should be illegal. I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. It was a whole thing at when I worked at Best Buy back in the day. I remember having to regularly change out the sales tags on items because we were so heavily regulated. Certain items could not perpetually be on a discount because that's obviously just the price. If it's always discounted, it's just the price. So, you know, if it's always $80, it's not actually $145 on sale at $80. It's just $80. So when I worked in retail at Best Buy, we had to constantly swap out sales tags and stuff to make sure we were compliant. On the digital storefront side, I guess, I don't know how they get away with it, but I'm pretty sure it's illegal. I'm pretty sure you can't do that. Or at least, maybe not illegal, but it's like, you can be fined for it, or whatever the distinction would be. But yeah, to point it out, it's just, the point is, it is more of the exact same crap that Call of Duty does, but he's trying to market it as though it's an answer to that, and it's the antithesis of it. And it's just literally more of the same. And that's why, like, I get particularly frustrated and, dare I say, triggered when somebody is acting like gamers are stupid or talking to us like we're stupid, and we're not going to notice it. Like, don't piss on my back and tell me it's raining, you know? Oh, wait, hold on. Where's that? I need to add it to the soundboard. I need to add that one soundbite to the soundboard. This one, you remember?
Don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining. Government.
Don't. I'll let her say it again.
Don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining. Government.
You heard it. You heard it here. By the way, I showed this on stream the other day. It literally is just a page that posts this clip every single day. Isn't TikTok great? Anyway, continuing on.
You see here, a microtransaction worth $80 for some cosmetics. Obviously, this is not good, and Ian could again have just addressed this in an apology and said, my bad, we'll fix it, it's now halved, problem solved, no worries. But instead, he took to social media to record an off-the-cuff video blaming the $80 bundle and other monetization issues that the game has on an ex-developer who he specifically mentions came from Call of Duty.
And essentially,
again, finding any and all opportunities to pivot and avoid responsibility. Like, every opportunity, it's not my fault, it's this other guy, or it's us, it's we, it's the team. It's like, it's ridiculous. And again, I'm sorry. Maybe this is not a big deal. Where I'm from, in my neck of the woods, people see you wearing AirPods Max. They're like, ooh, bougie, you must be rich. So it's another like optical thing where it's like, are you trying to flex on me, your fancy headset? Like, it's just, the whole thing starts to just feel weird. The whole thing feels weird. We don't take too kindly to Apple AirPods Maxes. No, we're a Sony Echo. I don't remember what they're called. I have those Sony headphones, the noise canceling ones for flights. They're very good. It's like they got the ridiculous name. It's like XF5000FGH or whatever. I don't remember what they're called, but they're very, very good. They're very good. Whether you're Apple or Android, get those Sony headphones. They're very good. Anyway.
Happened is our former head of monetization, who happened to come from Call of Duty,
a complete...
What do you mean, though? He's former. He's a former employee. So he doesn't work there? Why is it still priced like that? You're in charge of the whole thing. Like, again, oh, the WH1000XM6s. See what I mean with the names? Like, what are we doing? The WXM 500,000 FMXLTs. I think Tasers is the actual name, but the fact that I can't tell the difference, I think says everything you need to know. Yeah, it's those. They're very good headphones. You should get them. Much better than the AirPods Maxes. I've used those. I've had a pair of AirPods Maxes back in the day. I got them when I was cold calling in real estate because the microphone sounded fancier, according to my boss. He's like, it's an investment. It's a good one. They're not bad headphones, honestly. They're genuinely pretty good. But when you wear them, people are like, oh, you're rich. You're bougie. And when you're trying to argue that it's not your fault that you have a $145 microtransaction in your game. Maybe it's not the time to wear your Rolex watch. Maybe it's not the time to wear the fancy headset. Maybe it's the time to show up in a t-shirt and just be like, sorry guys. You know, it's just a bad look. We're not greedy. Sorry. You know, it's just a bad look. It's just a bad look.
Completely unnecessary detail that nobody cares about and never needed to be mentioned except to fuel this sort of one-sided competition in his mind.
It is also, yeah, the Call of Duty thing is funny because it's like he added that because he thought it would help him deflect. So like, oh no, you're good, man. The $145 microtransaction, you're good. You're good. It's Call of Duty's fault after all. It's like, no, you did that though. It was you, not Call of Duty. You did that thing.
I mean, at this point, he might as well just record videos of himself getting up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, shadow boxing an imaginary ghost of Call of Duty in his bedroom, shouting about how they're attacking him and they're in his dreams coming to get him. Call of Duty has nothing to do with this game. He hired somebody who worked on the game, allegedly. They made some decisions that he should have been overseeing as the CEO of the company.
And bear in mind, as CEO of the company, he hired that guy as their like head of monetization or whatever. If you have such a problem with Call of Duty, why did you hire the monetization guy from Call of Duty? I know why. It's because he wants to become the next Call of Duty. He wants that Call of Duty money. That's why. He doesn't actually hate Call of Duty. He's envious of it.
And then he just throws him under the bus and says, oh, it was this guy's fault and he worked on Call of Duty, as if he was, you know, sabotaging the game on Call of Duty's behalf or something. He was an embedded spy, a double agent, specifically to shut down Splitgate, the game that was never going to do any damage to Call of Duty because Call of Duty players play Call of Duty. They don't play other games typically. And just to be fair, Ian did apologise for using the hat, which to me is the least interesting part of this. It's in poor taste, but not something I specifically care about. It just looked like he was trying to meme, but obviously when you combine it with everything else, it's just incredibly unprofessional. It's overall poor taste.
I just think, again, it's polarizing. Like, why do all corporate suits, why are they all so milquetoast? Why are they all so boring and uninteresting? It's because they want to be as inoffensive as possible. Like, they want Tim Cook to get on stage and talk about how the next iPhone is the best iPhone we've ever made. And they want you to go and buy an iPhone. They don't want him to get up there and be like, just saying some super polarizing thing. Honestly, we don't think that if you eat beef, you should buy an iPhone. You can get bent. Like, of course, they're not going to do that. He's going to go up there, do the bare minimum to piss anybody off, and sell his product because that's literally his job. It's literally his job. His job is not to, like, be super funny, haha. Yeah, Tim Cook. Androids ain't shit. Can you imagine? I don't even think they're that pretty. I don't think they even look good. And frankly, they smell bad.
And if he just did the hat, if none of this other stuff existed, you know, didn't shit talk his competition, didn't, you know, blame ex-employees that may or may not have worked at Call of Duty for doing things that ultimately he's responsible for as the CEO, I don't think the hat would have been a big deal on social media. I might be wrong. People love to, you know, talk shit about everything and drag people for...
It depends on what you mean by big deal. There still would have been lots of people freaking out about it. Like, you remember that clip that went viral of it was like Cat Girl plays Battlefield 6 or something, and it was somebody playing Battlefield 6, clearly with aimbot turned on. They're like clipping onto people through rocks and walls and stuff, snapping onto them while they aim. And they're just trying to say, ooh, I'm really good at this. I'm really, really good at this. I'm actually really good at the game. They got banned on the game. They got banned on Twitch. And so everybody's like, yeah, see, this is stupid. This is dumb. And then it came out that the person in question is trans. And so now automatically there's people saying that they should get unbanned and that this should not be a scandal. And really, people use aimbot for all sorts of reasons. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's like, okay, there's always going to be somebody like arguing both sides. It's the point. Even when somebody is blatantly cheating in a game and streaming it, acting like they're really, really good, there will still be people out there defending it and be like, no, it's actually really good, high skill. You remember the Nadia stuff, dude? Remember the Nadia stuff? That's early in the days of this channel. You remember that? Oh, that's, maybe we should revisit the Nadia stuff. I think we tried to revisit Nadia and the whole Warzone cheating stuff, but it got like kind of sad because Nadia, I think, went on and started doing like OnlyFans stuff. It got sad and it wasn't that funny anymore, so we stopped.
You know, any small reason. But I think the totality of everything just made the guy seem like a bit of a clown and resulted in more social media flogging. That all being said, I'm not delusional, as far as I'm aware, maybe, I guess. But if Splitgate 2 launched and was an absolute banger of a video game, there is literally nothing that I've said in this video or that has happened with the company, the CEO, that would change anything about the game's success, right? If this game was good enough, if it was truly the future of FPS games, if it was going to make the FPS genre great again, whatever the fuck that means, he could walk out on stage, having paid the 500 grand, with his whole ass on display, assless chaps, stand on stage for the next 2 minutes and 30 seconds making duck noises, and then open a sealed Call of Duty box and shit in it, and nobody would care, because the game would be good enough.
Well, I mean, it's funny because there is somebody who does marketing in a similar way as that. Some of you might know where I'm going with this. A controversial guy who wanted to do some promotion for his company during a very large event known as the Super Bowl. And so he paid millions of dollars for the slot, and while he was at the dentist,
spent like all the money for the commercial on these new teeth. So once again, I had to shoot it on the iPhone. Go to Yotei.com.
that ad, if that was at the Game Awards, that would actually be like, I think it would do well. Because it's just ridiculous and memorable. Okay. I think this whole thing with Splitgate was just frankly trying too hard. You know, sometimes if you honestly are just like, I was going to do a trailer, but we spent all the money on buying this slot so Jeff could buy another boat. So I guess I'll read some poetry, and like that's what you do on stage. That could be genuinely hilarious, but you just gotta own it.
That people would just look past it. You know, if a product's good enough, nobody cares about the noise. It's only when the product isn't fun, the people don't like the thing, that they start focusing on stuff like this. There would be some people talking, there would be some people laughing, there would be some people bringing this up, but they were never going to play the game in the first place. It's basically only that the game isn't good enough, that there's an opportunity for this narrative to even exist. You could make a video about this and point to it and say, this guy made the game fail with his actions. But in reality, he just, you know, helped a failing game to fail more with a bit more of a funny story about it. As it stands, though, with the product being what it is, you essentially have a CEO's actions and a game's poor performance, and you can add one and one together here and say, this is his fault. And ultimately, he did make the game, so it definitely is. But the easy narrative is that this social media stuff made the game fail, which is certainly a more interesting story than just the game's not that great, which is really...
Yeah, I think the idea of launching a battle royale in 2025, even if it's got some unique gameplay elements, it just never was going to work. Like, you were literally 5 years too late. It just doesn't make sense. So the concept itself was flawed. It's the same thing with like Concord. It's why when people are like, Concord failed because of bad character designs, I'm like, that was a piece of the puzzle, sure, but it failed because it was ultimately a game that nobody wanted in a genre that was oversaturated already at a premium price point. And it just was a bad product. It just was bad, you know? The character designs didn't help, but like if they had super sexy characters in Concord, would it have magically made that game successful? I don't think so. Yeah, and Marvel Rivals was right next to it, about to launch, and had everything else going for it, you know? So it's just, I don't think things are as monolithic or you know, unidimensional as it often gets boiled down to, but it's pretty common. I mean, people will boil things down into their component parts and then focus on the clearest point that they can reference. But in this case, I mean, I think Splitgate 2, it was a concept that just didn't make sense from the start. And then I think the game itself, from what I've heard, I didn't try it, but the game itself seems to have been pretty solid. I mean, Splitgate 2 specifically, it seems to be pretty solid. It just was a concept nobody really asked for. And then it's built on a gimmick, so it's also already going to have a limited lifespan. And so it was never really going to work.
Really weird when you look at what Splitgate 1 did. That game peaked at 67,000 players with less money, less time, no marketing. And then you look at Splitgate 2, paid, you know, millions of dollars in not only the Summer Games Fest trailer and presentation, but also some of the biggest content creators, streamers, whatever it's going to be on the planet were paid money to play this game, to talk about this game, to give reviews of this game. They had a billboard in Times Square, the NASDAQ billboard showing the game. They spent millions on this, and they managed to get 25,000 players concurrent. Not only that, but the game has died faster than the first one. So really, in making a sequel, they've killed the first game and any chances of that coming back. Probably killed the second game unless they have some kind of like miraculous recovery at some point, which I'm not going to rule out, but you know, it seems unlikely, especially because they're still focusing on things that casual players, you know, use as a gimmick, have fun with for a week and then never play the game again. And to be honest, I don't think they have, you know, a crazy runway of money to continue doing this, because who's going to invest in a game now that's had 2 bites at the apple, has spent millions of dollars on marketing, and less than 2 months after release, they have less than 1,500 concurrent players.
Yeah, and at some point you also have to ask and question the judgment of the executive team. Like, thank you, G Cams. Thank you for the sub over on Twitch. Thank you, my friend. At some point, you do have to question their judgment when they're renting and paying for a billboard in Times Square. Like, at some point, return on investment has to be a question, right? Like, at some point, you got to be like, why did you spend money on that? That doesn't make sense. Who is like in Times Square being like, oh yes, going walking around on vacation. Oh, Splitgate 2. That's my next obsession. Sorry, Deborah, we're ending the vacation early. We have to get home. I must play. Like, nobody's doing that. Nobody's doing it. It's just a weird choice, man.
On the game daily, at least on Steam. There will be more on consoles, but as a trend, you know, you can use trend data of population to see the game's probably not doing all too well in other places also. Not just that, but in an almost unprecedented and hilarious turn of events, they're pulling what I like to call an Amazon Game Studios, and they've essentially unreleased the game, going from Splitgate 2 is now here to Splitgate 2 is kind of here, but now we're calling it a beta instead, while at the same time...
Yeah, dude, literally unreleasing it. Lord Grimm, also thank you for the sub. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, I wasn't really aware that you could fully go back to beta, but they are. We believe in Splitgate 2. This game means everything to us. It's been our life for almost 10 years, starting in our dorm room, and we're more committed than ever to delivering the incredible experience you deserve. We've heard your feedback. We agree with you. We launched too early. We had ambitious goals with Splitgate 2, and in our excitement to share it with you, we bit off more than we could chew. We rushed certain features, made some boneheaded mistakes, and most importantly, we didn't give you the polished, portal-filled mayhem you fell in love with. So we're going back to beta. We'll be heads down until early next year, rebuilding major parts of the game to capture the spirit of what made Splitgate special. That means reworking progression from the ground up, adding more portals to our maps, simplifying monetization, refocusing on classic game modes you've been asking for, and more. We'll share more soon. Literally doing a Control-Z, man. Beta!
Time shutting down official servers for the first game. Now, obviously, only time will tell if this game can pull out of the nosedive. It hasn't helped that the CEO has seemingly gone out of his way to give the game terrible PR, and to make the game audience, you know, the wider audience, think that he's an unprofessional clown who can only market his game by tearing down his betters. But realistically, if they can make Splitgate 2 into something that people want to play, it will find an audience. Nobody cares about the noise at the end of the day if the product's good enough. I think focusing so much on a skill ceiling mechanic that is unique to the genre is a cool party trick, a few minutes in the sunshine, but overall it's going to be the death of the game if it isn't kept in check. For as much hate as modern FPS titans like Halo and Call of Duty receive, they focus on fundamentals that translate across the shooter genre for decades, and that's, you know, minor differences to what they're doing, but they rely on mostly common sense mechanics. It's part of what makes them as popular as they are, because casuals can pick them up, play, have fun, and then move on to the next one, and it's mostly the same game with a different bit of flavor and flair. Advanced mechanics can work in games when it can maintain its own player base, but Splitgate has 6 years of evidence that theirs can't. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is their last financial opportunity to get it right. After all, people aren't going to keep throwing good money after bad, and I can't imagine the game's making a ton of money to support an active development team that's trying to fix the game. Either way, thanks for watching. Check the links down below if you want to support me, suggest video content, anything you want my opinion on, a deep dive on a gaming situation, no matter how old or recent, I guess. And Game Subs for a 10% discount on their products. Support me with the link, you get a discount, I get a kickback. Win-win, and I'll see you on the next one.
Booyah! Good video, Kira. That's very good. Kira. Thank you, my friend. That's very good. Very, very good. I think it is a tale as old as time. Unfortunately, for these, I'm also going to share the link to the video in chats real quick so everybody can get over there. But I think it's a tale as old as time, but it's just, for one, not realizing your place, and frankly, getting in and believing your own hype, which unfortunately undoes a lot of people's hard work. And then I also think that a component of it was, of course, chutzpah and overconfidence, cockiness even, and an inability to, I think, accept when there were mistakes made. There's a lot of energy and behavior that seems indicative of like somebody that maybe has too big a head on their shoulders. Like, again, anytime anything goes wrong, oh, it's the former employee, it's his fault. Oh, we thought this was a good idea. We tried really hard to make this good. Like, it's never his fault. It's always someone else's. It's just, yeah. And then also chasing trends 5 years too late. I mean, you were like, we're going to fix the FPS genre with a battle royale launching in 2025. What? You know, it's a bizarre choice to do that. So, predictable, but we'll see what they do. They do, at this point, let's be honest, they do have a lot of name recognition, so they could totally end up popping off and coming back if they have a lot of things fixed. Like, I don't think it's impossible, but it's going to be a lot of work. They've got name recognition. It's just they don't have a lot of good name recognition, which is more valuable. much more valuable for sure. So, yeah, it's a good video though. Very good video. For once caught you live. I'm glad, my friend. I'm glad to have you. I'm glad to have you. Good to see you. Oh, Miss Nikki just texted me. I think she thought I was off stream already. So I will end the stream here to go help my wife, and I'll be back on Wednesday, or it is Wednesday, Friday, rocking and rolling. Okay, my friends, much love. Taser, congrats on 2K subs. That's awesome, man. Much love, everybody. I will see you in the next one. Much love. Until next time. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.